Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, welcome to another Friday edition of The Watch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise. Everybody all around the world, we appreciate you being here on today's episode. We got a whole bunch of stuff to cover and your voices to hear as it's the championship rounds of this show. Today, you control the conversation. You control the flow of the show. You have the floor to dictate what we do and what we talk about on today's episode today. And we got Tia versus Rolly as a fight that is coming up, and we're going to be discussing friends turned into rivals, as what we want to discuss is what will affect this fight. The friendship's going to lead to somebody but you to get a little bit lapse in their judgment of taking the other one as seriously as needed, as well as with Keyshawn Davis, as the conversation just continues to revolve around the man that's made one of the biggest mistakes potentially in his financial future as a boxer. We've had discussions about what potentially can get him back on the road, and I think we need to revisit that, because there is one man who can maybe expedite the process of shifting this narrative of Keyshawn back into a brighter day for the public to re-accept him from the damage that was incurred on his reputation after he didn't take the fight with Devin Haney. Also, we got some news at super middleweight with Canelo and a potential newcomer at the division with potentially not just with Hamzat Shiraz being already there, but Janabek looks to be getting a shot at a title at 168 pounds. Oh yes, another name has looked to be officially added into the pool of one of the now more dangerous divisions in all of the boxing landscape, and so much more we will be discussing with you all on today. And again, it is a championship rounds. If you did not hear earlier, that means you all control the conversation. You drive whatever we talk about, and you get the discussion going with whatever topic you want to talk about on today's show, whether it's the NBA, NFL, all of that stuff involving the sports world. We want to hear from you in all facets of life and have your voice be a part of this show and drive where we go as we discuss this episode today. But please, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That's right, come on, be a part of the hottest show on the globe. Join our empire, join our community, join our great channel, and come help us grow and be a part of this incredible landscape of sports and entertainment together, all with you adding to the pot of an incredible pool of talent and community in this channel. And please be sure, hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube. Rate us 5 stars on every podcasting platform, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And if we're not, tell us, we'll get there absolutely. And also be sure to go ahead, and if you can't support the channel, we have Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, as well as Super Chat, Super Gift, stickers, Super Thanks, all that stuff that you can do to help support this channel monetarily, helps me to pay the bills and helps us to go through and edify this show to make it better for your viewing and listening pleasure all across the globe. And can you do, and if you would, please, do the most important thing above everything else, just watch the show, enjoy the stream, interact, and please share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together and growing as a community, all with you contributing and at the helm of making this thing so great. You and your support is exactly what makes this possible. We're like PBS. We can't do this without viewers like you. So we thank you so much for your support and for hopefully you enjoy the show today. But with all that being said, self-promotion out the window. We got a lot of show to cover. We got a lot of topics to discuss, and we have your voices that we want to hear. So it's time to talk boxing. It's time to talk sports. It's time to have your voice be added to the conversation. And it's time to step into the ring for the championship rounds. Oh yes, let's get it started. It's time to work. It's time to shine. It's time. It ain't Vader time. It's time for us to get this show on the road. And as with the plethora of topics that we can discuss today, it would behoove me to discuss the biggest thing first to get the interaction going. Let's get the clicks up here. Let's get the vitriol potentially out of your system with the volatile name that is Keyshawn Davis. And by volatile, I mean the volatile sentiments that the public may have on Keyshawn. We have been lamenting the move of him not taking the fight with Devin Haney at 147. Everybody's been all up in arms about it. Trust me, I still got clips I'm going to be posting throughout the week and weekend about my reactions to this all, because it was such a big situation of issue for the public at large. Without a question. But let's look at the other end of the coin, though. And this is a part of what somebody had asked earlier in the week. And we did address it, but I think we needed to readdress this point, because there is a player in play that could help to speed up this process of getting the train back on the tracks of Keyshawn Davis's career after the debacle that has been a faltering in reputation for one of the most prevalent and now infamous fighters in the world of Keyshawn Davis. And that is getting a fight to get the fans back in their favor. Who is that going to be? Who's going to be the man to really change their narrative? Who would be big enough to go and in one fell swoop change the very dynamics and the essence of reputation that we see with Keyshawn Davis right now in the road to redemption for one of the most polarizing figures in boxing? Well, we already answered this earlier in the week. It's going to take more than one fight. However, it can take less than 3. That's the biggest discrepancy. That's the biggest discrepancy. Also, we got people in the chat, like with legendary Super Saiyan Jackson. What's up, brother? We appreciate you powering up on our show and joining in on our conversation. Hopefully, you're enjoying the show. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful time. And hopefully, you are already liking the stream. And please like the stream. Hit the like button if you would. But the question is, like we see in the thumbnail and like we see on the title, having Keyshawn's redemption arc, how does this go as quickly as possible? And in my opinion, it's going to take more than 3 fights on average. But we can make it less. We can make it 2. And he's back in the good graces. But it's got to be deliberate. It's got to be major. And it's got to be somebody that will have the narrative behind them to shift the narrative on Keyshawn. And one of those names we brought up earlier, Brian Norman Jr. That's a given. Right now, that's the best apropos opponent he can get at this point in time that isn't named Ryan Garcia up at 147. Understandable. We get that. We understand that. But we's locked up with Conor Benn. Can't fight Conor Benn either because he's locked up with Ryan Garcia. Brian Norman Jr., number one option that he could have as the guy. Hey, he beat Brian. He knocked him out. He did a better job than Devin Haney. Ooh, oh my. It's still a consolation prize. I'm not changing that to still want to be seen as, oh my gosh, it's a very second-rate, or not second-rate, a very rusted second-place type of fight that the fans would feel, ooh, we didn't want to see this. Now, I'm telling you, right now, it's being negotiated that he potentially is going to get upwards of, at best, $1.4 million if he does take this fight or get a fight with Brian Norman Jr. right now under the world of Top Rank. That's the current going sentiment that we could see with Keyshawn. But again, that's a given. Could have made $4 million with Devin Haney, only got down to 2, and now going to be getting 1.4, maybe even less. Better not go to purse bid for this fight. I'm going to tell you that right now. But that's another conversation. Brian Norman is definitely the other opponent, or one of the opponents. That's a given. But the second one, I think he should fight Richardson Hitchens. Try to go after Africa. Maybe even fight in Africa. And take this brother out and put that name on his list. And be clear. Be clear. This is not me saying this is guaranteed to absolve the sins of his actions that he did against Devin Haney. It's not going to do that. Excuse me. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm saying that's the best route. We got to start looking at this in some positive way, because the wheel of boxing keeps on turning. Time still stands for nobody. It moves continuously. It will never stop just for you. And in light of us being frustrated with this man, we have to understand we got to look at a track to get this brother back to a position so we can still get the fight that we want in a quick time as possible. Because there's a danger for Keyshawn Davis that we have to understand that is prevalent in his career. And that is the fact that because time passes you by, you can't afford to waste opportunities that are falling in your lap. And when you do, you may not get the chance to have that happen again. We are dealing with that right now. Because of with Keyshawn Davis, we need to make sure If it takes more than 3 fights to go and get back in the graces and respect and rapport of the boxing landscape at large, what that's going to do for his career to get those fights down the line is going to be incredibly more difficult. Because now, in that same 3-year period, other new stars may have come up. Other new stars may have gotten into the very place that Keyshawn Davis was at already. It can be, again, we have so much movement, old and new stars that are getting and shaking in their careers to elevate in the pantheon of the sport and get to where Keyshawn Davis now left a void. Somebody with one win can fill that void and all of a sudden turn into, that's my spot now. I'm in the driver's seat of this position, and I'm at the precipice of breaking through the glass ceiling of boxing. And you may never get that spot back if you don't get there soon. To do that, it's Hitchens that's got to be a part of this conversation. That's where the redemption comes into play. We need to see him fight Hitchens, and more importantly, destroy Hitchens. Because Hitchens is a big enough name that even if you don't like him, you respect him. But if you do not like him and you see him get blasted out the ring, what that's going to do is attach a level of, oh man, you finally got rid of this brother. Oh my gosh, and you did it in dramatic fashion. Whoa, I'm a fan now. There's a lot of haters in the sport of boxing. There's a lot of people that don't like certain people in the sport. There's a lot of people, even if they don't feel any ill will towards a fighter as a fan, they're not very much a supporter of said guy. Some people, again, we said it with Devin Haney before. He's got a lot of people that just don't like him. We said it with Devin Haney, and his style, people don't like that style. We've said it with Devin Haney, and because of that style that people say is boring, that style that is conservative, that style that is, oh my gosh, I'm falling asleep. The best way to make a person want to see a fight is to go and knock out the guy that people say they don't want to see, but is always in front of their screens. The hate drove his ability to become a big-time star. He just kept on winning. But on the flip side, we say with Devin Haney, whoever beats Devin Haney is going to get the amount of love because of the relief that somebody finally beat the brother I don't like. It will push him to the moon. Oh my gosh, you slayed the giant that we thought would never leave. Now I can go and I want to see what you can do. I want to follow you now. You took down the biggest dude that was big in the ring and that was big in the sport, but people were like, we don't want to watch this guy fight. The best thing we would love to see is this dude that we don't want to see fight get knocked out so we don't have to worry about him anymore. And because of that, everybody wants to go and follow whoever beats him. That was the appeal of Floyd Mayweather as well. Whether you call him boring or not, the hate made it so that people would just want to see him lose. With Hitchens, I'm not saying he's at the same caliber, but he's got enough of that behind him. Some people say Hitchens is annoying. Some people say Richard Hitchens is a brother who just ain't entertaining. They look at the knockout with Kambosos as that's what y'all think we should call a great or powerful boxer. That's a brother who we can look at and say, oh, that should be one of the 15 or 20 best fighters in the world, and we're getting put to sleep by him. Again, speaking in the sentiments of other people that watch Hitchens, they may want to say, ooh, I'm kind of tired of hearing this brother's name when I don't believe his ability. For people that don't like him. Hence, Xavier comes in, Keyshawn Davis, oh my gosh, he has heard all this stuff, got all angry because of what people said about him. In light of the Devin Haney situation, he goes and takes this fight with Hitchens. He knocks out Hitchens in dramatic fashion. My goodness, he ended the run of a brother that people may have felt, ooh, we just want to see him get beat. Maybe because they hear him talk too much. Maybe because they don't like his personality. Maybe because they don't like his fighting style. Either way, the hate would drive the win, or rather the hate would drive the love to Keyshawn. Speaking from a story standpoint. Again, the narrative to get him in the good graces. We're talking about redemption. We're talking about the best way to quickly turn the page on people liking Keyshawn again and getting him back to position. I'm not saying that is absolutely going to happen. I'm simply giving you a blueprint that what makes people turn into fans of other people. It's the fact that you beat somebody that they do not like or that they're annoyed with. You saved me from having to hear this person's name over and over and over again. I'm tired of them in the conversation. Next thing you know, oh, this cat, Hitchens, runs his mouth, calls out a bunch of people, goes, that was the wrong button. Excuse me. This cat Hitchens runs his mouth, calls out a bunch of people, thinks he's the one of the best things since sliced bread, the best thing people would want to see. Oh, you shut him up. And you show them what the actual hierarchy is. My goodness, hey, maybe I can forgive you for what happened up here. And we can see you come back. This is not, again, it's not my sentiments. Simply painting the picture of the story, what would need to be done to help that redemption arc come into play. And I think the biggest caliber factor to reset his career would be to get a fight with Richardson Hitchens at 147, knock him out. And that would be a very hot start to turning the page into a new chapter for Keyshawn Davis and help him get him back on top where he used to be. Also, let me see what you all had to say, because we got Timothy Taylor on the show. We appreciate you joining in on our live stream. Let me see what you have to say. Keyshawn about to sit out until his contract is up, then sign to Zuffa, but Bob Arum at Top Rank likely to sue Keyshawn. Maybe. I know now. Well, they might. They might sue. They might sue. I would be more inclined to say that they try to put him in fights, if they do, to prove, hey, you're worth keeping around. And I'll get into what I mean later on, or after I read your chats. Like with Love King, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show. We appreciate you on our live stream, and thank you for showing up on our afternoon. This is the championship rounds. For those of you that didn't know, we are here to discuss whatever your thoughts and opinions are on the world of boxing as we know it, or the greater landscape of the sports ethos. What do you want to talk about? The NFL in preseason, the NBA is getting ready to start up in a couple months. More stuff involving boxing, whether it's heavyweights, welterweight, super middleweight. Shiraz and Janibek just got announced as that. I think that's a fight for Shiraz's title and Janibek's first fight back in a year since popping for PEDs. We got a lot of stuff going on around the scenes of the boxing world and the sports world as a whole. We want to hear from you, your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your concerns, your debates, and all of your words on how you feel about this situations at large. We want to hear your thoughts and have your voice be added to our conversation. But for now, we are talking about Keyshawn Davis and how we can get him to be redeemed in the eyes of boxing fans as quickly as possible, since we've already went and lamented, oh, this was one of the worst ducks I've ever seen in boxing history, especially with what we now understand is hindsight of the context behind it. It was just about money, and he shot himself in the foot. I can say that for certain. Right now, we're talking about Keyshawn Davis, and I was discussing previously Hitchens. I would love to see him fight him. That would be the best way to do it, and start kickstart that redemption arc. The other side of the equation is Bob Arum, Top Rank. Would they sit him out? Like we heard with Taylor in chat. Would they sit out Keyshawn Davis, or just straight up outright sue him? Not want to use him because we can't trust you, have you on the shelf for the rest of your contract because, hey, man, we already invested so much money marketing, and this now is just done. The whole reason why we wanted you to have this contract was because we could get you in these types of fights. And Bob Arum was hot. People behind Shakur are hot. And we said this could be an outcome that he could just get shelved. We don't want to use you. We can't trust you with our money, with our time. And we can't trust you with our willingness to set you up for greatness. We can't look at you in a way to make you a star because you quote unquote, bit the hand that fed you, thinking you deserved more. When you got 4 times more than you had ever made previously, the public eye, specifically the business eye, is very intently staring a hole through Keyshawn because they don't believe in him to sustain them. They could sue. The genuine thing is, hey, they could sue. Now, I don't think they would. And I don't think Keyshawn would want to sit out of his contract. Because you got to understand, even if he did sit out of his contract, his marketability would still be at an all-time low. Because the biggest thing about him would be he's just known for not fighting Haney. And he didn't fight for the rest of the year. So it was a whole year. I forget how many years he has on his contract. But it could potentially be a whole year or 2 of just him not having any fights at all. And the only thing that people can talk about for a year with Keyshawn is simply this brother duck. That hurts the stock of your ability to market yourself to even sign with other people later on to make the money that you want to make. I don't think Keyshawn would want to sit out. Top Rank might shelf him, but Keyshawn sitting out, I don't know if that would be smart. The smart thing would be to make people forget about this and try to get a fight going. Make people forget about all this stuff going down and try to get a fight to happen. Redo what you did when you had the whole altercation with Albright, jumping him in the locker room, and you got to do that again and have performances and make people forget, hey, that was an issue, like you did with Jermaine Ortiz. Top Rank probably won't sue because they may still view Keyshawn as just enough of a commodity to, okay, we do still want to have you here, but you have to now fight on our terms the way we want in order for us to even look to negotiate other big-time fights potentially down the line. Because it could be a very good point that, brother, after us, you may not get a better offer from anybody else if you choose to sign somewhere because of what you did with us here at Top Rank and not taking a deal that we negotiated to have you get 3 times more money than ever. You want to make sure everything's all well and good for you. Wherever you may go, you're going to take some fights. You're going to get busy. You're going to work to erase the stain that people have on you. Because you're going to need it. Again, from a business perspective. Regardless of what move you want to make, you're fighting behind the 8 ball up until you can get to a point where your reputation is at best breaking even. And you don't want to wait too long because somebody else may take that money that should have been yours because now they're fitting the mold of a star that you could have had. And we're willing to pay him, whether that's Abdullah Mason, whether that's Ray Murtaya, whether that is even Floyd Schofield, we're willing to pay him the contract who would have been able to pay you. And now you got to take what he was making for him. Again, simply looking at from the outside in of what business acumen may be discussed with Keyshawn going forward. Even him signing with Zuffa would be major. And granted, most likely, him signing with Zuffa will probably get him a bunch of big-time money. Understandable. However, I'm still wary on how Dana White is willing to pay people out. Because, yeah, he got Shakur. But if Keyshawn Davis is still thinking of what he's worth, does Zuffa feel like he's going to be worth the amount of money that he thinks? At that point in time, we have to look at it from that perspective. Because he was going to make $4 million per Bill Haney's own words for the fight with Devin Haney. That means 4 times more money than he ever made in his entire career in one fight he was going to make. And he said, I'm worth more. When in actuality, that was exactly, that was well above what you had made with only $1 million as your biggest payday. If he thinks that's what he's worth for them, for Zuffa, what is going to be the number? And because we know it's run by Dana White, is Dana White willing to pay that amount of money? Because let's be clear, if Dana White does get Keyshawn Davis and Shakur under Zuffa, I promise you, The biggest fight that Dana White's are going to want to make is to fight Keyshawn Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. Because that would be the literal selling point of the entire promotion. We got the fight that no other promoter was ever able to get. Blood brothers turn rivals. Keyshawn versus Shakur at 140 or 147 or catchweight, whatever the word it may be. We're actually making it happen. And per the stable that we have with Top Rank right now, or per the stable that Zuffa has right now, that would be the only fight that they could make that would be privy worth that contract. Because Keyshawn Davis is not nearly as big of a name as Shakur. The biggest reason why the names like El Rayo and Shakur are somewhat decent sounding fights is because Shakur is involved. Yeah, I respect El Rayo. Absolutely. Can he beat Isai Cruz? Which is an incredible feat. Understandable. But people don't look at that fight as, oh my goodness, oh wow. They look at it as that fight is all they can get. De Los Santos got knocked out. You maybe can get a rematch with De Los Santos and Shakur. I don't know how excited people would be to see and pay for that on a pay-per-view for a main event. El Rayo, same situation. And the biggest story behind that, El Rayo knocked out De Los Santos. So boom. At least you got some connecting narrative there. With Keyshawn Davis, nothing outside of him missing weight with De Los Santos. That's the fight that he can make. That would be a story at 147, sure. But then after that, there's no connection to El Rayo, really. No really palpable investment in, the public would want to see that fight. And there's not even a 140-pound division or catchweight division, whatever the world division that they got. They got a hodgepodge of a different sector fighters. Ryan Garcia is 147. Conor Ben just came down from 154 to fight at 147, but he's not going to be at 147 after this fight. Valenzuela and Santos 147. Shakur is 147, 154, 135, and 140 all at the same time. We don't know where he wants to fight. And Keyshawn Davis is at 147, but because he would not be fighting Shakur, it would be the biggest names that he could get to are El Rayo and Valenzuela at this point in time. And even if Ryan Garcia beats Keyshawn, or even if Conor Ben beats Ryan Garcia, that'd be a big win. The biggest thing would be, okay, boom, you got Conor Ben. And then, but if Ryan Garcia beats Conor Ben, yeah, he's willing to work with Zuffa. Yes, but that wouldn't be his next fight. Because most likely he'd be gunning for Devin Haney after that. Defending his belt, beat a very talky, mouthy fighter in Conor Ben. Stocks high as ever. Highlight reel KO potentially on the horizon. Next thing you know, okay, boom. Haney got a belt. I got a belt. We both had a big win. Haney hasn't had the fights that he wanted. I'm the fight that's worth the amount of money that his contract would want to have, and more so. We're both at 147. We're both comfortable. We both want to be unified. You want to go undisputed, and you need to go through me. That's the fight I'm going to try to make next. It makes all the sense in the world. It makes all the sense in the world. So, you couldn't even get Ryan Garcia versus Keyshawn Davis as the next fight, most likely. There's not a lot of options to make the value of Keyshawn's contract with Zuffa worthwhile, because potentially two of the biggest fights that you would want to make happen would not be able to happen. Biggest of which being Shakur. Because Shakur would never fight Keyshawn. Keyshawn, I guarantee you, would be willing to fight Shakur, because he'll at least press those buttons, but it won't happen. Especially because we now have the expectation, potentially any big fight that Keyshawn is in, he may just demand himself out of a contract, talk his way out of a big fight scenario. It could be, so it's a slippery slope signing with Zuffa. It's not as just clean cut as brand new slate, brand new star, brand new situation, and a whole new plethora of people to fight. Boom, makes all the sense in the world. There's a lot more to it than that. Or at least from my perspective. And I'm just, Yeah, it's a little bit concerned. Just a little bit concerned. Let me see. Let me go read what you have to say. Janibek must win or his entire championship career will be over linked to PEDs. Yes, he does. And we're getting ready to talk about Janibek and Shiraz getting ready to fight against each other. Let me see. Being a fan of Janibek's style, I hate the PED shenanigans. With that said, I still can't wait to see how he looks at 168, but I cannot either. And we're about to address that right now. Let me just read the rest of your chats in the comment section. Please keep on chatting, keep on responding, and keep on sharing the show with everybody that you know so we can continue to grow this channel and edify this show and make people join this empire. Without question, absolutely. But let me see. Read the rest of your chats as you all were responding. If Keyshawn has a $10 or $15 million deal waiting on Zuffa, then he's not fighting Brian Norman or Frank Martin. I mean, maybe. But that's the problem. Would it be 10 or 15? Would it be that much amount of money with this move? Again, that deal might have been on the table before this whole drama with Devin Haney. If that deal is on the table, I would assume that number would drop because, oh my goodness, do we want to pay somebody this much money that might not even get the fights that would make this contract cash out? Not sure. I'm not sure, but again, it's just me thinking out loud. This is me. Let me see. There's a reason why the power fight hasn't been announced. Bill knows the big fight is with Keyshawn. I mean, how long is he going to wait for Keyshawn Davis? Let's be honest. How long is Devin Haney going to wait on Keyshawn Davis? Because is he coming back to the negotiation table? We already played the clip yesterday that he was willing to give him an extra $1 million on top of the $3 million when they first started negotiations. And then Keyshawn pushed for the purse bid situation. How long is he going to wait if what they gave wasn't enough? And what does Keyshawn want it to be $6 million, $8 million? With all due respect, Keyshawn is not worth that amount of money. I know he wants to make $5 million net, or no minimum, but it's like, one, you want to make that, you need to tell Jay Prince to stop taking $300,000. That big chunk of change. It sounds a little bit egregious. Or was it 600? I forget how much it was. It was some exorbitant amount of number just for his promotion or just for his manager to make pay. And I know he's got to get paid, but my gosh. But he's not worth, $6, $8 million if that's what he's looking for. And a $5 million net for a fighter who this is the first mega fight he's had. This early in his career, mind you. It ain't like he got 30 fights on his resume. It's not even at 20 fights in his career, roughly. And he's already in this position. Incredible, understandable. But I just think he is overvaluing where he's at right now when, in fact, he got put in a position that was still more than what he'd ever made in his career. Exorbitantly more. So how long are you going to wait? Because what are the demands is he going to want? Because he's not worth going $6 million, $8 million plus for a fight as a valued fighter. This is not me trying to be mean. I'm saying from the business perspective. So I'm like, I still know. Let me see if Keyshawn and Shakur keep burning bridges, going to give Dana White all the leverage to force Shakur and Keyshawn to fight each other. That's the thing. That's that, and you see, that's that exactly. You hit the nail right on the head. You hit the nail right on the head. You hit the nail right on the head. Shakur's got a lot more leeway because he's Shakur Stevenson. Keyshawn Davis inadvertently may have burned a lot of bridges with a lot of people without even touching foot in their rooms, talking with them. But the biggest outlier is all of this is working towards Dana White's favor. Because if it is true that Dana White is the guy that he goes to, now he's got the leverage to say, hey, brother, I'm the guy that can get you where you want to be. And I can get you the big fight with this cat over here. Nobody else wants to work with you or respect you like I do. and you work with me, I can get you to the mountaintop like you deserve. You just got to do this one quick thing. One simple favor is all you got to do. One simple fight can change your life and can put you into the stratosphere. It just got to be Shakur. Now I know y'all are really, you're bonded and all that stuff. You don't want to disrespect the flow of friendship, but at the same breath, none of these other guys are giving you the chances like I am. You should go and take this chance. Because if you beat him, boom, who knows what you can get for Devin Haney? That's a whole different world. You can try to sweet talk because now the options may be limited or more limited than they were before. And the leverage is working against the fighter in this situation, working towards the promoter. No reason why Keyshawn should get $2 million and that fight makes $100. Doesn't matter what his biggest payday is. And Skull, I get you. I understand. This and now granted, I don't know if this fight was gonna make $100 million. I don't know if this fight was gonna make $100 million. Now, that's no, if I got my stuff correct, that's like Canelo level. The fight was big. It was a surprise, but it was big. Wasn't that big? I don't think it was making, I don't think it was making Anthony Edwards' contract in one night collectively. But it definitely would have been extreme. And again, comparative to what Devin was guaranteed 6. Guaranteed, was it 6 to 8? And with Bill Haney adding that extra $1 million, per his own words, if he had taken it, Keyshawn would have made 4. So collectively, it would have been, $8 million to $4 million or $6 million to $4 million. But either way, that's a lot closer in respective guaranteed revenue. Now, granted, with the pay-per-views and all that stuff, that would have accumulated into the money afterwards. Understandable. But in the baseline, that's what the numbers were looking like. And again, we deal with the fight itself. We don't deal with the numbers as like the main course of context for what we talk about in the fight. We bring them up as fact. We bring them up to tell the story. We bring them up to show you what's going down. But we don't use that as the main driving force of conversation. Generally. But for this situation, we need to. Because it does matter. And since it does matter, we're looking at a man who this fight was his ticket to get those $100 million level fights. Now, I don't think this fight would have made $100 million, but it definitely would have been a pretty chunk of change that with the guaranteed money that he was making, it would have been worth it. And again, biting the bullet, not because you're trying to say, oh, I got lowball, but because with this chance, just taking the chance, I would get the back end better. It's not sacrifice, it's opportunity. Because either way, you would have won. Because either way, your baseline of what you could have made, win, lose, or draw would have been higher. Regardless of the result. Because you shared the ring with Devin Haney. And you can now demand a baseline of this and or more for whatever you want. And you can demand even more because just by being in the ring with him, you would have been a more notable name. To me, just my thoughts and opinions. But let me see, no reason in supporting very obvious duck in that fight. Well, yeah, thank you. It was not, people that are saying that this fight would have been $100 million, it would not have been that much money. To put that in perspective, $100 million is, I think, was that what Floyd and made? Let me see, the top 10 biggest money making. Let's look up the numbers because if you're bringing up $100 million, like that is exorbitant. That's exorbitant. That's like what? I only know if Crawford and Spence made $100 million for their fight. I think Canelo and them got got there, but that's Canelo. $100 million, $80 million, $60 million. That's Canelo. The top 10 biggest selling fights in history. From going down the list, and I'll show you the list right now to let you see exactly what people are asking or saying this fight would have been. I don't think you understand exactly what amount of money this would look like. If it'll pull up. Is it pull up? Uh-oh. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a second. We good? Wait a minute. Y'all can hear me, but I don't think y'all can see me. Wait 1 minute. Hold on a second. Oh Lord, my camera's going awry. Things are going off. But you, as you can hear my voice, even if you can't see my face, you can see the screen, and you can see what exactly this would have amounted to monetarily. And it should be able to pull me back up. I'll talk while you can hear me. But Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., that fight, mind you, that fight in, was it 2020? 2021, something like that? When they were 54 years old, Mike versus Roy made 80 million. Floyd versus Cotto made 94. Holyfield versus Mike Tyson 2 made 100. Tank versus Ryan Garcia made 102. Lennox Lewis and Mike made 112. The first fight. Oh, excuse me, the only fight that they had for the title. And then, Floyd and Oscar De La Hoya made 136. Boom. This is before, in a way, mind you, got involved with this. Mind you, they had the fourth highest gate in boxing history. So they took over Floyd Mayweather versus Oscar De La Hoya. I think this might even be an older list. So this is the amount of money that we are banking on or looking at or having discussed as what we could see a fighter have in this fight, and that is egregious. That is, with all due respect, that is not what this fight would have been worth. That is not what this fight would have been worth if they had actually fought against each other. If this fight had made $100 million, I would have said I think somebody's money laundering. There's no way this fight would have been that big. None whatsoever. No way. That would have meant that I've vastly underestimated the face of boxing conversation. We would have to say it's Devin Haney. If Keyshawn Davis is bringing in $100 million worth of money, I think that would end any debate for what the face of boxing would be, because it would have been Keyshawn. Oh, excuse me, it would have been Devin Haney. Because all of a sudden, $100 million off the bat, shoot, base, yeah, it would have been incredible. But no, it would have been worth a pretty penny, but it would have been worth that much. Listen, Dana White ain't gonna make them do anything, especially the way they're on record talking about not fighting each other. I don't think you understand. Dana White somewhat operates in a mob sentiment, and I say that in the means of you working with me. We're going to scope this division and this world in my image as a boxing promoter. And we've seen it with the UFC. Normally what he wants is what he gets. Whether we think it's fair or not. Whether we think it's right or not. Whether we think it is just or not. He normally gets what he wants. And he'll try to push for stuff, and so that's going to be one of the biggest reasons as to why he will want to force that fight to happen, even if it doesn't work. Excuse me. He'll still try. He'll still aim to try, and whether they'll be comfortable or not with it, that's what's going to happen. That's what Dana's going to be thinking. That's what's going to happen. I'm trying to make sure I catch everybody else in the chat. Let me see. Legendary, you willing to pay $80 for Devin versus Paro or Devin versus Keyshawn? Well, put this in this perspective. Devin versus Keyshawn. That fight would have been, sure, I'm willing to pay that for $80 over Liam Paro and Devin Haney for $80. That's not, that's a given. That's understandable. We understand completely this fight would have sold, without a doubt. This fight would have been a great situation to have, hey, a big fight feel. However, the fight, if you want to argue a fight that would have been, okay, this is the one that would break the bank, people would be willing to not pirate this more than any other fight. As much as we love Keyshawn and Shakur, it would be Shakur Stevenson that would have won the betterment of that argument. It would have been Shakur Stevenson that would have been the one that would win if we're going to compare that. Sure, people would pay $80 for Keyshawn and Devin Haney, but most likely people would not pirate Keyshawn versus Shakur, and they would actually shell out money. I can guarantee you right now, if I went around my city and I went and told people, hey, we got two boxing matches coming up. Keyshawn and Devin Haney, Keyshawn versus Shakur. Pick a date that you would like to go and schedule something to take place so we can have a big old fight party or whatever. Both fights are big fights, but I guarantee you, most of them would be willing to pass, or, you know what, that's not our audience. That's not our market. It's a good fight. That's not going to move the needle. Rather than, okay, it ain't our market. That's a fight that's big enough though. Yeah, we'll put it on. Yeah, we'll host the party. Yeah, we'll shell out $80. Yeah, we'll do all this promotional stuff or whatever to get people to come in, because that fight with those two, yeah, that will pull in the type of dough. And even then, that fight still might not make $100 million, because we're talking about the level of starting that we're talking about to get that type of money, or even close to it, is ridiculous. Ridiculous. But it would immensely sell out. This fight is a great fight to have, Devin versus Keyshawn. But I can promise you, it is not the biggest fight that can happen. And if we want to compare it to other comparisons, now, no question about it. Yeah, sure, it'll be a fight that people be willing to pay for. But it's not the fight that people will actually pay for. Guaranteed more than anything else. That would be that would be either Keyshawn versus Shakur or Shakur versus Devin Haney. It'd be that. And let's be completely honest. The only reason why that fight with Shakur and Keyshawn is a wanted fight ain't because of the skill level. It's because of the brotherhood turned enemies. Friends turned enemies. Bonds turned into blood in the ring. The narrative drives that fight more than the actual fight itself. Because it could still be a good fight, don't get me wrong. But let's ask this question. If Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson were not friends together, would that fight be as big of a palpable want as we have it as right now? This is why we talk about the story and connecting the dots of the sport. And the storyline of the sports world is such an important thing, because that helps to drive why we should care. Sometimes it is just straight up skill. The skill of a fighter versus the skill of another fighter. Yeah, that's good enough. It's the baddest brother here. It's the baddest brother there. Spence was the baddest brother at welterweight. So was Terrence Crawford. They both got all the belts and they both beat everybody. The natural selection of the fight, boom, made it so we got to see what happens. We need it. We need it. Need it more than ever. Gotta have it. Holyfield and Tyson, they both were on clinching courses because they were beating everybody at heavyweight. Then Buster Douglas beat him. Holyfield beat Buster Douglas. Tyson got back into the winning ways. And then boom, okay, now two of the best again going at it, and now we can see what, do you finally have our answer? The natural selection of the boxing environment led to a fight that made sense. Hey, we want to see it, and we're going to see it. But for Keyshawn and Shakur, and Keyshawn and Haney, yeah, Keyshawn has the tools, absolutely, to make the great fights. But with the accolades being so lacking, the names on the resume being only one, and Jermaine Ortiz being the biggest oh shoot type of great fight, and specifically against Shakur Stevenson, the skill of that fight is not in the same near tier of level. It's clear Shakur is better than Keyshawn Davis. It's simply because, are you willing to beat your brother to a pulp? I want to see the fight. So does anybody else. But I got a 90% feeling I know who's going to win that fight. And it might not be close if they did ever fight against each other. But we just want to see it because they're both in the way of each other. But if they were both in the way of each other without the story, would you care nearly as much? Without the bond of, I'm just here, you're just here, we want to see the fight. We're two of the top stars here, but without that connection, would we even be looking at that fight as still as big of a tantalizing thing? If the story was taken out. If they were just fighters in the same division. I'm not sure. Very well could be. I'm just telling you what's been one of the biggest driving forces behind this fight has been, will you fight your brother? Rather than, is the skill, for skill, y'all are neck and neck, we want to see it take place. I'd be hard pressed to say somebody would say that Keyshawn is on the level of Shakur. Hard pressed. And especially now with him not wanting to fight Devin Haney, when he was saying, oh yeah, I can beat him, I can beat him, I can beat him. He's got people thinking that the gap may be wider than we think. Again, optics looking in from the outside. Listen, I really wish this fight wouldn't have happened. Because then, stuff could have been different. And beats go, yeah, Devin Haney is not selling immensely. Even the fight with Lomachenko was not a huge pay-per-view sell. It was one of the best fights of the year. But even that fight, 40 undisputed title, was not a huge monetary, oh my gosh, out the water, $50 million success. It wasn't that. Kambosos was not a huge financial, oh my goodness, $1 million success. But Bill Haney discussed that. We took the fights, may not have made much money, but we took the fights and kept on winning, and now you see where we are, what we can demand. I can offer Boots Ennis $10 million. We didn't get to fight, but I can offer Tia, hey, $8 million to fight us, or 7, whatever the word number was. We can, because we just kept on taking, the bigger fights. And sure, we were not the biggest name. And from the standpoint of marketability, Tank, Ryan, and others were bigger than us. We were not selling out $100 million like Ryan and Tank. We weren't doing it. We weren't taking the world by storm from the standpoint of people wanting to watch us fight. We just kept on winning. And now we are here. Previously, yeah, you're right. He wasn't the face of the sport. He was not in that conversation as much as he is right now. But now he is. And now, even if we want to say that, yes, he wasn't making huge amounts of pay-per-views and money back then, absolutely. We're in a different day right now. We're in a different move of career because of what he did legacy-wise, continuing to fight. And now he can push the envelope. I'm still not saying he's going to be making $100 million or so. That is still one-off situations, like with Shakur and Devin. Or down the line, Shakur and Boots. That fight in a year or two could make that amount of money. because of Boots' stardom, Boots' knockout power. People loving and hating Devin Haney want to see that fight take place. Devin Haney moving up to 154, being undisputed in his own right, beating everybody at 147, would have mad everybody looking at him as, oh shoot, Debo is now a fixed moniker. A big dude coming up versus a big dude who's always been big. We want to see what that's going to be. Can the boxing ability of Devin Haney beat the physicality and athletic ability and the trading style of Boots Ennis? And the clash of styles coupled with the clash of personalities, coupled with both of them elevating accolades versus superstar level talent, and a person who's been in the spotlight eking to get in there versus somebody who built his way to have the spotlight shown on him, it creates for a perfect storm in the atmosphere of boxing. Yeah, that would sell hugely. But everything else wouldn't be the same way. And I'm not trying to say Devin Haney isn't now a legitimate name that people want to pay to see and all that stuff. I'm simply saying that geostorms of mega fights are not common. And many of those $100 million, $80 million, even $50 million level fights are mega fights for a reason. Because those fights have a perfect storm to make the largest audience of casual, hardcore, and even uninterested fans just want to see what's going down. Either A, because somebody else is so polarizing, or B, the story got written long enough and with so many interesting twists and turns that it compounded on itself over the years. And finally, when it made sense to meet up and they meet up to fight, boom, said all this context behind it, and once the bell rings, everybody's looking for the climax to that story. Because they've been following it, slowly upping their interest. Similar to Inoue and Nakatani. Always talked, never close, got close, boom, the climax of the fight finally happened, and it sold immensely. I think I used that example yesterday. There's other examples like it, but you know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Also, let me, hold on, I'm trying to make sure I catch everybody in the chat. For some reason, my chat ain't moving on my screen. Wait a minute before I'm going to read it. I don't know why. Okay, there we go. I can see it now. Keyshawn had, Lord, come on, what's going on? There we go. Okay. Legendary, you say Shakur versus T.O. is much bigger fight than Haney versus Keyshawn. You know what? I would have said that Shakur versus T.O. was a much bigger fight. Yes, it was. But I think Keyshawn Davis talked that fight into being a similar level of anticipation. Because of how rah-rah he was, and because the sentiment around Keyshawn was he was pushing the envelope. He's going to be a star. He's going to get here. He's got power. He's got all this fun watchability. He can talk the talk. He can sell the game. He can get in people's faces. He can do all this stuff to make people want to care about the fight and then produce on the night of the fight. He's got the makings of a superstar in the future. And he talked that fight with Devin Haney literally into existence. And people that said this ain't going to be a huge deal because of his constant hitting his head against the wall, I'm going to beat this cat. I'm going to whoop this cat. I'm going to take this brother out. I'm going to go and clean house. Ain't nothing you can do to touch me. All this in a bag of chips, feeding into the very idea of confirming Devin Haney's own nickname of Debo. And saying, I'm going to knock out Debo with a brick. I promise you, you're going to want to see this coming. This turned that fight into, all right, maybe there is something to this that I want to see. And then when it finally crossed that threshold, it turned into, because of Keyshawn's constant berating, it turned into a fight where, okay, you talked a lot. Let's see how you actually perform. And let's get this fight going. You made me care. You made me, whether I think you're ready or not, you made me care. And because you made me care, I want to see where this can go. And you showed you got some ability skill-wise. You may be able to get this upset. But you talked me into wanting to see this fight. And you made it one of the most anticipated fights of the year. Yes, Tio and Shakur was outright bigger. Because I think, again, Tio and Shakur are bigger stars in name. Or at least the combination of the two. If you want to say Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson are at the same level of stardom, okay, cool, no problem with that. No problem with it. No problem with that at all. I don't got a problem with that at all. But if you want to say that Tio and Keyshawn are at the same level of stardom, I know you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Both of them were still elite level, fringe top 10 contenders in Teofimo Lopez and top 10 outright for some people in Shakur Stevenson, coupled with the biggest names in Tio and Shakur being two of the more polarizing figures in the sport when they fought. Devin, if we want to put that in a mirror image, Devin Haney is the Keyshawn in this situation. Or excuse me, Devin Haney is the Shakur in this fight with Keyshawn, but Keyshawn Davis is not the Tio in this fight. But he talked this fight into being one of the most anticipated, but it still wouldn't have been a bigger fight. Because Keyshawn was not at that level of stardom. But he got more people to believe, and then it would have turned it into, ooh, you got an interest of a big time event. But after this, he would have been able to get that level of anticipation for almost every fight that he was in. And it would have turned into, okay, now if we want to put a Tio and Shakur situation in your career, you can now make that type of fight atmosphere with an abundance of more stars. Because now you did it. And you crossed that threshold before. Win or lose, you crossed that threshold. So, with Keyshawn Davis, this is all the more evidence of me saying I really wish he had just taken this fight. Really do, because it could have changed everything about what we see right now for him in his career in a good way, in the best way possible, in my opinion. But let me keep on reading your chats and responses in our show today. Trying to make sure I can pull it up so everybody can actually see what's going down. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I'm trying to pick y'all out. Y'all moving quick. Hold on now. Let me see. Keyshawn should fight the winner of Rolly versus Lopez. Now that's a good fight. Keyshawn fighting the winner of Rolly versus Lopez. I would love to see it. However, is he going to get that championship opportunity immediately? Again, would he? At that level. Because you got to understand, Devin is also looking to fight the winner of Tio and Rolly. Devin Haney is looking to fight the winner of Tio and Rolly. That's why that fight is also so prevalent. Because we could get back-to-back situations of 2 times in the year. Tio fought Shakur, Tio fought Devin Haney, and both of those will be extreme high-level entertainment fights. If Rolly beats Tio and he gets a fight with Devin Haney instead, my gosh. Tank, Isaac Cruz, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. He would have successfully faced off against 3 of some of the biggest names in the sport throughout his entire career. With Devin Haney being at this point in time at the biggest crescendo of stardom. That'd be interesting. And also because it's going for a title, Devin Haney might get priority and push his weight around to go and see what's taking place and have that fight go down. Again, that's just me. But I don't know if he gets that fight. And it would be a good fight to happen. I just don't know if he gets to it first, because I think it would be Devin Haney would get first crack at whoever wins. Now afterwards, sure, he can get him. Unless he just say, hey, I'll take on Keyshawn right now. I'll take him on straight up. At least if Rolly wins, he might take on Keyshawn Davis. I can say that. I can definitely say that. I can say that. I can definitely say that. If Keyshawn wants to fight at the title next as soon as possible, he better hope Rolly Romero wins this fight. Because Rolly does not want to fight Devin Haney. He doesn't. He said that publicly on multiple occasions, with the title, without the title. I don't want to fight this cat because he's boring. His words, not mine. What that means is there is an opportunity. If Rolly gets the upset, he could go and fight Keyshawn Davis. Just say, hey, all right, I beat T.O. I want my rematch with Ryan. Maybe I don't get it yet because he may go after Devin Haney. And if so, boom, I'm going after Keyshawn Davidson. That's the other biggest name at this division of 147 I can take. I'm the defending champ, and we can go make stuff shake. Let's make it happen. Because I don't want to fight Devin Haney. So we could see that. We could see that. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but we could. Let me see. Devin gets the winner. Keyshawn gets the loser. Now that's a good solution. That's a good solution. That right there is why I love this chat. Y'all draw dots that I didn't think of, and that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Devin fights the winner of T.O. versus Rolly. Keyshawn fights the loser. And that can quickly help turn the page and keep the story of Undisputed going. That wouldn't be bad. And I didn't bring up Rolly or T.O. or others because in terms of the first, when we were talking about the redemption story, simply because I was not sure if it would be possible they could get those fights because of the optics of this situation and the reputation of untrustworthiness that may be going through in negotiations. That's why I didn't bring up these fights. So, okay, maybe he can get a title. Maybe he can just go and get himself into another big-time situation for a belt. Because if he's ranked number 1 for the WBO, he could be ranked highly in other potential sanctioning bodies, other potential title rankings. I just didn't think he would actually get those opportunities. But if logic is logic, yeah, the best case scenario outright, he gets a fight with Rolly Romero or T.O., whoever loses that fight for this championship. And the winner goes to unify against Devin Haney. The best situation is, in fact, if Rolly wins, because of how Rolly has talked, Rolly has significantly shown doesn't want anything to do with Devin Haney. So he might be inclined, even if he does win, I'll fight Keyshawn before I fight Rolly Romero. And life is good. For Keyshawn Davis, okay, boom, I got another crack at the bat. But that's the best case scenario. We hope that happens. And for Keyshawn's sake, we hope that happens, but only time will tell. Let me say, Keyshawn can fight Cautious with Key. Excuse me. See, Devin can fight Cautious with Keyshawn. He can't fight Cautious with Paro or Catterall. Well, I mean, now let me see. He can fight Cautious with Keyshawn, but he can't fight Cautious with Paro or Catterall. I mean, well, hold on. Let me read. I think I need to read the chat above this before I can give my full thoughts. I think I missed some context behind this. More importantly, if Devin Haney fights Paro or Catterall, if he doesn't stop. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so I was missing something. Okay, hold on. I don't know why the chat ain't working only for some situations. Let me pull this up. Let me copy and paste this so I can actually click it and bring it up. So this is what you said before this chat. More importantly, if Devin Haney fights Paro or Catterall, if he doesn't stop them, his stock is going to drop. Those fights can damage Devin if they go the distance. This is why Bill is doubling back to Keyshawn. Devin Haney can fight cautious with Keyshawn and it not hurt his stock. But he can't fight cautious with Paro or Catterall because if he does, it might hurt his ability to be a sellable fighter. I understand. Okay, I understand what you're saying now. I get it now. Now, here's the other half of the equation. Is Devin Haney going to be fighting as cautious as he used to because of what we're seeing with him training at this point in time? There could be a world where Devin Haney is fighting and operating completely differently and looking to be more deliberate with his punching ability, or rather at least with his offensive aggressiveness. Offensive wanting is a better way to say it. With the training that we've shown with James Toney, working on different things, and with the way that he is really looking like more than ever, he is trying to amp up his build and his body. As you can see with some of this training footage that we have with Devin Haney working out. And while I can't play the sound for copyright reasons, I can definitely show you the video. There might be a world where he may be able to not have to fight so cautiously. Might not have to, because everything about Devin Haney at this point in time is starting to, let me play the bigger clip. It's starting to point to he may be changing his style. May. I say may incredibly cautiously. I say that with incredible caution. I do not say that with the intent of trying to say outright, yes, that's what he's doing. But with all due respect to what we've known of Devin Haney thus far, this Devin Haney looks like the most... wait, hold on. I don't want no sound getting played because I ain't trying to get copyright. But this Devin Haney thus far looks like the most physically demanding fighter that we've seen in his career. And training-wise, he's been doing stuff completely adjacent to the type of Devin Haney that we've known throughout his career. There may be a world where this brother may not be as conservative against anybody, whether it's Catterall or Paro. Because you're right, you don't want the stock to drop. You don't want the ability or lack thereof to actually get some damage or at least put on a good offensive performance to make it so that as a reigning champion with all of the accolades and reputation that you've now garnered, you lose it because people are saying the same stuff that they were saying 2 years ago. You're boring, you're lackadaisical, or not lackadaisical because you work incredibly hard in the gym. You're boring, you don't entertain me, I don't have fun watching you, I'm not going to pay to see you up until certain situations. It seems like he's building a body and training with people to build a style that is going to shift that conversation because he may not be fighting the same way of so conservative anymore. Very well. It could be we could see a different fighter regardless of the opponent. And that's what makes this so exciting for the next steps of Devin Haney. That's why we wanted to see it against Keyshawn, but against anybody, it would have been worthwhile. Against anybody, it would have been worthwhile because we're getting the feeling that something may be different with Devin Haney as he's moving through at this stage at 154. It could be a ruse. It could be fake. It could very well be something that we're just blowing smoke and none of this is true. Not a lick of this could be true. All this noise.
And he floats like a butterfly and hits like a tree.
All of this could be all for naught and it's just simply not happening. And this brother still is uber defensive, uber conservative, only using his jab, not trying to use his power, still tying up and clinching, not attempting to actually do anything on the inside to work. And letting his physical opportunity to control the fight pass him by because he's still trying to be so clean that he's scared to get dirty. We don't want that. We could see that. That's been what's been holding him back to some degree for fans' entertainment. The sweet science, like we had said with Shakur in the past, is always prevalent. It's always there. It needs to be sweet. However, if it's too much science without the sweet stuff of hitting back, tagging somebody back, getting somebody done to where you're doing damage and you're showing your offensive array, not just your defensive, genius, people ain't gonna like it. People are not gonna like it. So at least there has to be a balance, or at least an accentuation of the best aspects of you. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And my gosh, if he can do that, perfect. And he's got the body to do it. He's got the front. I should probably put this in the bigger screen. So you can actually see more closely see the thing. There we go. But you see the body he's got to make it happen. And he showed the evidence of it in the first 6 rounds of Brian Norman. He could be a more exciting fighter. He could be a fighter that, again, whether it's Paro or Catterall or even Keyshawn Davis, he could hold his own better as an offensive fighter. I'm not calling him a knockout artist. We are saying the same way we saw Shakur entertain the masses, entertain the public, get everybody invested, and completely flip the switch and flip the script on what people were saying about Devin Haney. On what people were saying, flip the script on what they were saying about Shakur Stevenson. From boring, unentertaining, to all of a sudden we want to see him against everybody in the world. Because, oh shoot, this brother is good and fun to watch. We could see that same type of approach with Devin Haney, if he went and committed to it. And everything, at least from the videos, from the training, from the sessions, from the pad work, from the people he's brought in, and from the way he is now building his body, he may be looking to change how he's going to fight. Not saying it's set in stone. I'm just saying it could very well be. For the better. I hope so. Because I want to see a Devin Haney that can be demonstrative. Because that type of Devin Haney's fun. For anybody, absolutely. Let me see. Quant, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for showing up and showing out on our live stream today. Let me get back to the no, not that either. Hold on. There we go. I clicked the wrong stuff. My apologies. But let me see what you got to say. It does look like he's trying to do different things in the ring. But if he fights elite boxers, he's going to lose, meaning a top 10 pound for pound level fighter. Also, we got paid, excuse me, thank you for the $5 super chat on our show with us today. We appreciate the homes to the Empire and the love and support to this channel. And if anybody else wants to give, again, you can support this channel with Cash App and PayPal, as well as super chats, jewels, stickers, gifts, all that stuff, super thanks, whatever the word you can do on YouTube. We can do this and we can have you be a part and give homes to the Empire, and you get some priority, talking points if you do chat, because I can see what you say first before everybody else, and you can skip the line of me trying to read everybody's chats to have you be added to the conversation. But be clear, we still value everybody's opinion, everybody's thought process, and we want to hear your thoughts, and we want to hear more people be involved in the conversation. So keep on chatting, keep on having your questions. We're still in the championship rounds, so we want to hear from you on anything involving the world of boxing or beyond in the world of sports, of what you have to say on the day. And again, we want to see him against a top level pound for pound, tiered fighter, because I don't think he would lose if he did change what he did in the ring. The biggest thing about this is the biggest aspect that Devin Haney has been deficient in is physicality hurts his style. He can't go and be the clean worker because somebody isn't fighting clean. They're fighting physical. They're fighting aggressive. They're fighting mean. They're fighting with speed, and they're fighting with purpose that overwhelms your technical proficiency. And when you have to bite down and fight, you can't do it. Or rather, your body couldn't translate into having the necessary physicality to go and be offensive in controlling the fight without just needing to jab and move. But with this new turn of potentially, if he is working with James Toney, operating better outside that with the Philly shell, being able to plant his feet and work while you're in the pocket without needing to necessarily move back all the time, it turns you into a whole new fighter. And we know he's got the reflexes, ability, and the IQ to fight with that vein in him. Doesn't mean he needs to change his entire makeup and turn into outright James Toney the entire round or all 12 rounds of the fight. You're right in front of your opponent. He don't need to do that. But just adding that to his game could make it so that, okay, hey, the bevy of people that can beat him are significantly shrunk. Because now, even with your ability to physically do things against me, I can now have the confidence to still work with an offensive mind more than I was in the past. In different situations. And it could be better. At least to me. Let me see. Do you think Bam versus Inoue becomes, or do you think Bam versus Inoue happens? Inoue set a deadline of March. I do. But it's up to Bam. The ball is in Bam's court of whether you're moving up or not. Robert Garcia said he wants to have one more fight before he goes and takes that challenge. Cool. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. But you better make it quick. It was initially February. That was the deadline. Pushing it back to March. Cool. Inoue's only fighting once or twice a year next year. Be clear. Inoue's not fighting the rest of this year and is fighting once or twice next year. And the rest of his career, he's probably going to only fight once or twice a year. Not the 4 times, 3 times. I think it's in 1 year, 5 times he was fighting over the course of his entire early and in peak prime form. March is plenty of time to get a fight agreed upon for Bam. And I think Bam does want it. But if Bam doesn't take it, the bus is going to pass. And the best chance to beat Inoue is at 122. If Bam waits for Inoue to go to 126 before finally getting up there, he's not going to be able to beat him. He's not. He's not. I can guarantee you he's not. I promise you he's not. If Bam waits until Inoue gets to 126 and then goes to fight him, it would be an even bigger win because, my gosh, at 126, if Inoue still looks the same, that's a monster for anybody that isn't the same weight, that he will knock him out. But if the likelihood of beating him drops substantially, if he waits until 126. He does not need to wait around. He does not need to wait around if he can't afford to and get up there. I do think it will happen. I do think, because again, Bam already lost out on being able to fight Nakatani when he wanted to. I don't think he is going to let this fight not happen. But in the off chance that it doesn't, it's going to be bad. Because fighting Inoue at 126 is going to be a monstrous task. Now, I don't think, even with as good as Bam is, I don't think he can win at that situation. Let me see. Also, Rolly versus Tio, who you got? I have Tio. I'm rocking with Tio. I'm rocking with Tio to win this fight. I'm rocking with him. I'm rocking with, in the same way that Bomac is rocking with Tio, I'm rocking with Tio to beat him. Now, granted, I do believe Rolly Romero is more diverse than we have seen before. I do think that Rolly Romero is a more dangerous fighter against Tio than we may feel because of the power that Tio does need to be concerned about. and the closing speed of Teofimo Lopez going up against Rolly Romero. Rolly is a faster, instantaneous level fighter. Teo may be concerned with, but Teo's feet should win him today. I'll be honest. His feet should win him today. They didn't work against Shakur, but Rolly, thank goodness, ain't Shakur. Rolly, the movement is not even the movement, just moving backwards, but the angles, that everything that didn't work against Shakur Stevenson has significantly better opportunities to work against Teo. Significantly better opportunities. And I do think, especially at this bigger division, I think Teo will be able to be, forget just stronger, I think fuller and even more comfortable with moving around in the ring. Because I've always called him one of the better athletic boxers in the world. And the bigger he gets, the stronger he gets, and I think he can do just fine. Now, Bobak was saying he's going to mop the floor with him. Now, I don't know about mop the floor. I do think it should be a relatively decent unanimous decision. I don't think Teo's going to knock him out, because I don't think Teo has the power up above 135. I'm going to say that right now. That's where stuff may come into play. I don't think Teo has the power at 130, above 135 that you would need. Whatever all the instincts that he has in him, he doesn't have the power that he needs at 147. Just like he didn't have the power at 140. That's where stuff can get scary. That's where stuff can get scary if we're looking at this fight. Because if Teo doesn't need a knockout, he's not going to be able to get it most likely. I think he's a better skillful fighter, absolutely. But if he does get to a point where he needs a KO, he's not going to be able to get it above here. Because, one, Rolly got a chin. Yeah, he got knocked out by Tank. It's Tank. Outside of that, it's been Isaac Cruz. Two of the biggest punchers in multiple divisions is the people that stopped him. And we should have gotten stopped by Ishmael Barrosos. Remember the old brother, 40 plus, that was knocking people out left, right, and center? And almost stopped Rolly? But Tony Weeks came in and stopped that fight. And one of the worst and most belligerent potential corrupt stoppages I've seen robbed Barrosos of a title. The only time we've seen this brother put in hot water in that regard has been against the three biggest punchers between 135 and 140, respectfully. Against Ryan Garcia, he was just fine. And since Ryan Garcia, or at least in that fight with Ryan, we've seen him show a level of maturity I didn't see him have before. The only difference is the stamping of Rolly's ability with consistency of showing that his maturity, his patience, his, I'm not going to say caution, but his willingness to feel out the opposition instead of just in some ways blindly going in. We need to see if that is sustained since that fight with Ryan Garcia. If it has, we're dealing with a scary fighter. Like I said before, Rolly Romero beating Ryan Garcia, even a hurt Ryan Garcia, gained my respect because he, in the past, he wouldn't be able to beat him. Because I said previously, he is not an elite fighter. Now, he's in that caliber. Or at least he's on the cusp of, you can say, okay, he's elite, or at least borderline elite. And if he gets this win, doggone right he is. But it's a matter of, has the patience stuck? He's moving different, talking different, walking different. He is acting different outside the ring as well. More thoughtful, more conscientious of not just the moment, but of his actions, his words, his ability, as a man to be a better man. Everything outside the ring shows growth. And inside the ring, we saw that same growth as well. Will it stick? Especially after over 2 years, or nearly 2 years, I'm not going to say nearly 2 years, but over almost 400 days of not being in the ring. Don't forget, that's another factor. This brother been 400 days of not fighting at all. As a reigning champion since beating Ryan Garcia. In that situation, for somebody that normally fights twice a year, hey, that's a problem. I don't know how Rolly takes a long layoff. With other boxers, we've seen the answer to that. I don't know what it's like for Rolly to take a long layoff, come back, especially at this high stakes of true elite competition, and you're able to go and shine and still flourish. I'm not sure. As are many unsure. Or as many others, are unsure about this Rolly coming in the ring. But if everything works out phenomenally, the upset potential is there. It's higher than you expect. It's higher than you expect. I'm telling you, it truly is. It truly is. Let me see. Vaughn Greenhill, how you doing? Good to see you. We thank you for showing up and showing out on our show today. Please keep on liking the stream. Keep on sharing the show. Keep on subscribing to the channel and keep on supporting our community by being a part and chatting and responding and giving your thoughts and opinions to the world of boxing and beyond. Bill Haney reminds like a Paul Heyman of boxing. I mean, to some degree, I'm going to tell you this, his ability to sell has been one of the most impressive things from an individual mouthpiece in boxing that I've seen this year. Because we can say what we want. This cat has been in mega fights with some of the biggest names in the world when people were saying that Devin Haney was never a big enough star to get to these opportunities. It's been hard work by Devin Haney. And Bill Haney, I said this before, this brother is a mouthpiece that people love to hate because by proxy of Bill Haney talking, people didn't like Devin Haney. But he didn't care and he kept on doing it. And he worked his fighter into this very conversation of being one of the faces of the sport. It's insane to think about. It's one of the greatest marketing runs we've seen in years. It is. And he's a fighter-friendly promoter. Acting like that anyway. Because every fight that he's made over the past 2 years, it's outside of, Jose Ramirez, it's been, hey, that's the fight that we want. It's been moving and trekking and being fan-friendly and still challenging his opponent while still talking the talk as if, hey, brother, I am the best thing in the world. And backing it up. It's insane. It's ridiculous. No, Al Heyman doesn't talk like that. But in terms of being fighter-friendly, being able to get the best for his stable, and moving as a promoter in that way, Haney's done that. And has been able to cultivate the star that is Devin. Or rather, help to force the spotlight to get on Devin, which was his job. And like you said before, he did his job. He's doing his job. And so let me see. I thought Bam was gonna go the shoo-shoo route. No. Bam is not going the shoo-shoo route. Bam wants to move up, at least per his words. Robert Garcia is the one that said he wanted to stay behind. Bam, unlike Shushu, Bam has been actually beating top-level competition on a consistent basis, having breakout performances and consistent hype performances against elite people while holding and getting multiple belts. Shushu has won the belt, but has talked more about Inoue than anybody else in his own division and has yet to go and really take on other people in his own division. And to some degree was waiting on Inoue to get up to 126. Wasting time in some people's minds to not move the needle of his own career. I don't like that, nor do you. But that's what's been going down. So they are not moving the same. They're not moving the same at all. Floyd Schofield versus Body. Who wins? I got Floyd by KO. Yep, that was a factor that was just confirmed. Floyd Schofield is going to be fighting against Body for, I believe, the interim WBA title at 135 pounds. And that's a big deal. That's a huge deal for Schofield, because now this is the first time that Schofield has been given a full championship opportunity. And I say full championship opportunity because this could be, with Tank being the champion in recess, having the WBA title still around his waist, but not actually in the ring to make a fight happen, because again, he's got court cases, he's on the run, he's doing all this other stuff outside the ring. The brother is a fugitive. Call this man Law and Order SVU, because we need a search team out to go find, get Ice-T on the phone. We need this cat to find this brother. I'm serious. Last signing was with DJ Khaled. After that, I don't know where he's at right now, going MIA. All I know is right now, with all of that taking place, he's tied up, locked up, strapped up with litigation, and can't nothing shake right now. Schofield would inevitably be that new figure in the sport to hold the belt at 135, at least one of the 4 belts at 135. I so much so want to see him beat Body, because if he beats Body, Schofield almost assuredly would be fighting Abdullah Mason. That almost assured. Almost assured. Almost assured. If we do get this fight going down, we would get Schofield versus Mason. We would finally get the fight that I've been asking for, begging for, pleading for a number of years, between two of the youngest stars at 135 who have had their eyes not necessarily on each other, but have consistently been coming up in the ranks of the boxing world as people that are driving that 135-pound division up in status and grandeur. I want to see it, and I want to see it now quicker than ever, because it would be a fight. It wouldn't be a boxing match. That would be an outright fight from probably the first bell. And doggone it, I want to see who comes out on top of that fire, because it would be war. Somebody would be guaranteed to go to sleep. You doggone right, I want to see it. And I got Floyd by KO. What, I think I got Floyd by decision. I think he's going to get a knockdown. Well, hold on. No, I take it back. I'm with you. No, but at least 2 knockdowns before getting the stoppage. That's what I think's going to happen. That's what I think will happen. At least 2 knockdowns before we get a stoppage for Schofield against Body. I think that's what we're going to see. And another statement win off the backs of Tevin Farmer, which somewhat has lost its luster only because of the time between the last fight and this upcoming fight. Granted, not his fault, because he was going to get a fight with Tank, but then the whole situation fell apart. Boom. But now, back in the good graces of position to be one of the faces of this division with a belt around his waist. Especially since Murataya left, the hierarchy of 135 has now shifted. It is Abdullah Mason, it is Schofield, and then potentially, I can't even say Lomachenko, because Lomachenko's coming up to 130. If you did not hear that news in the boxing world, Lomachenko is indeed coming back in November. I know I'm jumping around. I'm not trying to. This is just all blending together in conversation for good reason. Because Lomachenko is officially coming back, but he's going to be fighting at 130 pounds. Yeah, back at the division, he was putting everybody to sleep. The Matrix has returned in his prime weight class. Oh, Lord. He's here. And he's getting ready to run roughshod going up against Suarez for looking to fight Neverete, my apologies, for the WBO title. Excuse me. I read that wrong entirely. My apologies. He's coming back. He's going up against the current mandatory for the WBO super featherweight title in Charlie Suarez. If he beats Suarez, then he will go and challenge Emmanuel Neverete for the WBO an IBF championship. Navarrete was going or was in talking stages of fighting O'Shaquie Foster. However, Mayor Navarrete has backed out of those talking points. I'm trying to find the reason as we speak for why. I think somebody posted it here on Twitter if I can find it. But at this point in time, those talks between Schofield and Navarrete have kind of fallen through at this point in time. And I will pull that. I will pull up that information as to why as it comes across my screen. But now, that's what Lomachenko's at. I ain't never read it. So 135 isn't necessarily, we don't got to worry about that no more. At least for now. So, the hierarchy is Mason Schofield, 1 and 2, in many people's eyes, at least from a star caliber position. I want to see it. I do definitely want to see it, but I think he'll knock him out. I agree with you. Schofield been out for more than a year. You think that will affect him? Well, I mean, is this anything new? Let's be honest. Is this anything new? Is this anything new? The buddy got sick when he was supposed to fight on the card before, and it fell apart when another card was getting ready to happen, and that dropped. And then he came back and had a knockout win against Tevin Farmer, somebody who was always active, always consistent, former champion, and it's been in awards with Zepeda. I don't think this layoff will affect him. If anything, I'm hoping this layoff will actually make him fully focused, ready, healthy, rested, to make it so we don't have to worry about him having to go and drop out of a fight for whatever reason. Because every time it be, he got to stop for some reason or another. Whatever the case, in sickness and in health, this cat may not come down the aisle when it comes to the boxing world. I'm so serious. Every time it was always something going down that changed Schofield not being able to fight. Another long layoff. Whether it was his fault or not, I'm not here to say. I'm simply telling you that's what's been happening. My gosh, if it can change, I hope that this cat changes so we can actually have a fight go down. Please, Lord willing, please. Because I got this. I'm hoping that this cat is just 100% no sickness, no disease. Because I don't think the layoff will affect him. If anything, he might need it. Just to make sure that he's perfectly fine. Because if not, we may have a problem. Let me start trying to make sure I get to it. I like T.O., but T.O. was inconsistent. T.O. was inconsistent up until he moved up to 140. He got his consistency back. That's why that fight was so exciting, because T.O. had been looking good multiple times and against Arnold Barboza. Then fighting Shakur was just a better boxer. I mean, you just couldn't do nothing with him, even if you tried. But the consistency has been a lot more stable than it used to be. We were talking about T.O., and we were saying it was bad in previous years, talking about T.O. Yes, we were. So, but we'll find out if it is still up and down even more. But it should be that he should be just fine. It should be that he'll fight like we know he can fight. Unless his dad ruins him again and doesn't give him any good actual corner ability. Because I think he's still with his father. That could be a problem. But if that's not the case, it could be just fine. It could be just fine. Let me see. I don't think T.O. has better feet than Rose. You sure? You sure? Rolly's never had great feet. Rolly's never had great feet as a boxer. Rolly's always been, a plotter more than anything. He's always been a plotter. And again, when I say great feet, plotters in terms of people that are grounded to the ring versus movers, people that are more so able to bounce and move gracefully around the ring. You can have good feet as a plotter and as a mover. Rolly has been more of a plodding level fighter. Flat-footed, really grounded, because that's where he generates his power. Cutting off the ring of his opponent is the biggest thing that he wants to do. But I think Tio had better feet because he's a mover, but he's an aggressive mover that his movement more so attaches to him getting angles to land punches. Forward shot up, 1-2, duck down. I'm still coming forward. Roll onto the next one. Hook to the body. Up. Now I'm backing up. Lead jab. Now I'm posturing. Now I'm waiting. Up. Boom. Uppercut. Slipping to the right. Stuff like that. It's tricky. A lot tricky. A lot more technically nuanced and versatile than what we see with Rolly. But it is still good. Shakur just made him look bad. But he is a better footwork-laden fighter than Rolly. At least in my opinion. Watching him and Rolly side by side. I don't think it's close in that regard. Or if it is close, it's moderate. But it ain't substantial. Now, if Rolly can overcome that and stop that tricky movement, oh, we might have a whole new conversation, absolutely. Also, we got Tay. What's going on? Tay, how you doing? Good to see you. We thank you for showing up and tuning in to the show with us on today. Hopefully you're having a phenomenal time. We appreciate you and everybody else in chat joining in on the show. We're still in the championship rounds, talking about the world of boxing and beyond, whether it's with T.O. and Rolly, whether it's with Ryan Garcia, whether it's with Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, whatever topics in the boxing world or in the sports world in general that you want to discuss, we are here. We are here to talk with you all, to enjoy your opinions and thoughts on our show today. And we appreciate you, Tay, being on the show and everybody else in chat. Hopefully you're leaving a like on the stream. Hopefully you're sharing the show. And hopefully you're having a great time as we're entertaining the masses all across the globe. But back to the conversation with feet or footwork with T.O. and Rolly. I've never had an impressive marker watching Rolly and his feet dictate the fight than I've had with T.O. That's just me. I think T.O.'s more fluid. I think T.O.'s more versatile. He can move left and right a lot more loosely, a lot more comfortably in a lot different angles and in a lot different situations. Rather than Rolly, who, again, is patient. Absolutely. But it's still somewhat static how he moves. And his feet have got him in trouble sometimes. Hey, he can't get out the way of stuff. Perfect example when he was fighting Isaac Cruz. When a better aggressive fighter got to Rolly Romero, Rolly's feet could not move around to get to different positions to stop Isaac Cruz from doing what he wanted to do. And normally that's the best way to beat Isaac Cruz. Use your feet. Even if you are an aggressive fighter, use your feet. Rolly could not do that against somebody who's literally a literal one-track mind in the tank that is Isaac Cruz. And his feet got him in trouble because he kept backing up to the ropes. Hurt or not hurt, he kept just putting himself in a bad position. It is indicative to understand Rolly's aggression is his best weapon, but it also has been his biggest downfall. Rolly's aggression isn't because his feet are good, it's because his feet are fast. Again, he's an explosive type of fighter. Rolly and T.O. is a fight where T.O. has to worry about Rolly jumping in the range and landing something. And being able to, if you overcommit with a shot, land with power and speed to close that distance. Because physically, he is one of the more substantial fighters in this division. Does not mean that his feet are just outright uber technical. But it's average to good feet coupled with an elite level of, hey, his calves and thighs, when he needs to move, even if it's just simple directions, he's able to get there real quick and real strong. And T.O., because of T.O.'s sometimes uber technical ability, again, with all the tricky movement, the tricky footwork tactics to go and set up flashy shots and whatnot. Sometimes if he ain't careful, that can get him into a position, you get tagged, you get counted, you get caught. Shakur wasn't punching with power, but he was able to tag in those awkward angle situations that T.O. was in. If Shakur had more power, it wouldn't have just been that T.O. and his face was all bruised up and swollen. It would have been T.O. would have gotten knocked down, or most likely knocked out. Yeah, it would have been that. It would have been that. And this is not to bring up old history, but if T.O. can get knocked down by Kambosos, you better believe one false move, he can get knocked out by Rolly Romero. This is the biggest, dangerous puncher I think that we would have seen Teofimo face in his career. From a collective standpoint. There's been better people, absolutely. But as a single shot puncher who one mistake can't actually end your night, Rolly, I think, is the most dangerous fighter in that regard that T.O. has faced. I think it's the most dangerous that he's faced. And if this goes awry, if this goes out the window negatively, we can see T.O. lights off. Dream Street. Next thing you know, I'm all out of sorts. I'm concerned. I don't know what to do. We all in trouble. Very well be that. If he's not careful. If he's not careful, I'm serious. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. That's why this fight is just such a unique situation. Because we're dealing with somebody who the best weapon that he had in power in T.O. is no longer prevalent at these higher divisions. But his skill is still able to be oh so great. But with Rolly, we've seen him elevate his skill. And even though it's not up to the caliber of a well-rounded facet of fighter like with T.O., that good level skill with the added patience and still one-punch power has shown bigger, small, shorter, tall, this type of framework of boxer that I am is a whole different situation. I can go and put you out without being as good. Because now I understand a new dynamic of my own game and ability. And it can get interesting. And this builds on the point, whether it's Devin Haney, whether it's Ryan Garcia, whether it is Rolly Romero, whether it's Shakur Stevenson. We are seeing everybody in boxing right now add a new wrinkle. And we're getting into the best of people's careers all at the same time. Shakur has added more offensive aggression and a willingness to go and actually land on the inside. Devin Haney, if we do see him add the same thing, potentially has added a better Philly shell that can do damage and more trusting of his actual power that he can use in the ring. Ryan Garcia has now got both hands he can use to fight. And if he's training with James Toney, that brother can use the Philly shell as well and turn that Ryan roll into a doggone dangerous weapon, as well as being still one of the fastest punchers in the world. Rolly Romero adding patience. We are seeing, that's just at 147. At 154, Boots is elevated into understanding his identity as a fighter. Fundor has gotten a better jab than ever before and has learned to actually use his length properly. Not just being an inside fighter of a towering inferno, landing uppercuts left, right, and center. It's not, I threw a hook, but you get what I'm saying. Doing work and doing damage. All of this is translating into a new frontier of fighting. Canelo, we got to see if he needs to adapt and change. Berlanga, if he wants a shot at Shiraz, he's going to have to change. Shiraz, after his fight against was it Rockhold? Not Rockhold. I forget about his name. But he's got a situation where people are going to be concerned that he may have to shift his style because all of a sudden he ain't looking nearly as unbeatable as we were seeing in the past. Generally, we are seeing the world shift. Schofield got better. Mason just showed he's got some flaws that he needs to change. But again, he's evolving. Zayas just got in the ring, one of the best fighters in the world. And now we're seeing Xander Zayas have an opportunity from that experience to turn into a whole new monster potential. Everything at the same time is shifting all at once. All together. We're going to have a whole new breed of generation unfold right before our eyes because we're watching the maturation shift with everybody at nearly the same time. That's why it's so important that we're having these fights happen, because we're getting a step-by-step guide into the changes that a fighter's making in their career, fight by fight, day by day. And right now we're at the most violent metamorphosis stage. We're at the most poignant time where everything is congealing in every fighter's style, makeup, and body all at once. Everybody's experiencing the same cocoon effect of the next time I come out of here, I'm going to be something different. We saw it with Dave Benavidez. He's changed into a whole new monster of a fighter. Whole different. It's changing. All at the same time. In the same generation. All at once. By choice or by force. People are having to face the mirror and turn themselves into something different because they're seeing the separation of where their career is compared to everybody else starting to take effect. And that's turning into an exciting rat race to watch in the sport of boxing. It ain't often we get this type of full over. I mean, you get it every generation. But this much of a concise, you can draw a linear line of everybody making a change. You don't get that often in every era. Not at the same time, at least. Right now, we're starting to see that. And it's turning insane. It's turning insane. I love it, but I can't wait to see it. Let me see, what's the bigger fight? Devin or Boots versus Devin? Or Boots versus Fundora? Woo! Bigger fight outright would be Boots versus Devin Haney. But the biggest fight right now would be Boots versus Fundora. Because that's what's actually tangibly next. And for Boots, that's the most called for fight outside of Ortiz. The Devin Haney fight is a fight that's big simply because it is, the future sounds insane. But there are stipulations for that fight to reach that type of zenith. Undisputed gotta go both ways. Devin Haney undisputed at 147. Boots undisputed at 154. At least currently. It's just the fact that that fight with Boots and Haney, name versus name, yeah, it would be huge. But most likely it wouldn't happen. Not right now. Unless we see Devin Haney just say, bump it, I'm going to 154 today. Unless we see him make that type of gutsy call that would, my goodness, I don't care who you are, you would have to respect that brother. Unless he did that today, that fight almost is assuredly just a dream of a situation. And not necessarily a complete, okay, ooh, we could get it. It would be a bigger shock like we had with Keyshawn Davis and Devin Haney. Oh, shoot, that fight is actually happening? We didn't expect it to be so soon. We'll gladly take it. But there has been a build-up with that Fundora fight that because it's right there, people would want to see that. Because With Devin Haney versus Boots, the names speak for themselves. But with Fundora and Boots, it's the circus. The circus is what sells that fight. Devin Haney versus Boots absolutely would be a bigger fight. But what makes that fight with Fundora so big is the fact that 6'5" with the 83-inch reach going up against Boots Ennis at 5'8". The man the size of Anthony Joshua with reach longer than almost Tyson, as long as almost as Tyson Fury. At 154 pounds, how could Boots, the man who can beat anybody, beat that? Absolutely, people would want to see that because the spectacle of it all would just change everything. Change everything. It'd be ridiculous. Now, down the line, absolutely, Devin Haney versus Boots will be bigger, without question, than Fundora versus Boots. Down the line, though. But right now, it would be bigger, yes. But that circus of Fundora is still something that, brother, how do you top that? In terms of what type of indomitable force can beat somebody who's a heavyweight in terms of frame? That's, again, the circus of Fundora. He is a good fighter. I'm not calling him a circus because he ain't good. He's a good fighter, but it's the ludicrous dimensions of him as a boxer make him seem like a cartoon level boss. Where did he come from? And why is he so proportionally different from everybody else in this division? Doesn't make any sense at all. And that idea just sells the mind to make it say, oh, I want to see it. But no, Devin Haney versus Boots would be a bigger fight. But Fundora, at this point in time, is the most likely to happen. And its spectacle derives from he is such a circus of a character. How in the world could Boots beat him? How in the world could Boots beat him? Let me see. I hope Theo doesn't get in trouble. He might have to get some advice from his dad again. You know how this goes. You got no power. Nah. Please. Get Theo away from his father. Please. I'm begging you. I'm pleading with you. I am pleading with you. Get this brother away from his dad. Get him away. Because we need to hear, if we want to see this brother really reach his pinnacle and ability, we need to see him change with a coach that can actually tell him what to do. Get somebody, look.
And he floats like a butterfly and hits like a tree.
That is not what he needs to be hearing when it comes to watching this fight. I need to see this cat actually get some tangible advice, specific things to do. Move your feet to the left. Look for a hook over top. Block him and catch the shot and land with 2 punches in response. You know he's trying to go to his right. Cut him off. Stuff like that. Some tangible evidence or rather some tangible advice to shift where the fight needs to go rather than just hit him. Because hitting him ain't good enough right now, is it? No, it's not. Not by a long shot. Just hitting him ain't good enough to make some things change for how this fight's going to go. Right now, it's just simply you versus the world, and you just need to use your ability. What about my ability needs to be good enough to go get the job done? What tools do I need to use? Rather than just use your tools. If that's how his dad is thinking, you're doggone right. He's not going to be up here for long. That's how his dad is coaching. Again, I'm not knocking the relationship. This isn't disrespect. This is evidence based on what we just saw happen. You didn't have an answer. You couldn't think of what to do with Shakur. The only thing you had was a motivating factor. This was round 6. And the only thing you had to say to this brother was you got to hit him. This ain't round 12 of a close fight. This ain't round 12 of this is a knock. You need a knockout to win. We got to make something shake. This was round 6 or 7. You got to hit him. Whoa, tell me how. There's no coaching, there's just motivation. You need both. Teddy Atlas was a phenomenal coach because he had motivation and coaching. You can't just tell a person, you got to have the will to win. How do they win? That's the whole point of a coach in a corner. It ain't just about you being able to get the man to use their heart, get the woman to use their heart to will themselves to victory. You got to tell them how. You got to tell them how. It's not good enough just to let them know you need to make something shake and you got to change the fight. How do I do it? How do I go and make this better for me? How do I change the outcome? That's why Teddy Atlas was such a good coach. Eddie Funch, Emmanuel Stewart. The list goes on and on. Customato, they were able to galvanize their training, galvanize their coaching in both motivation and in tactics and solutions. Kevin Rooney, when he was training Mike Tyson and other fighters, he was great at being technical. You got to be able, Bobak, another one, great at being a motivator and being able to be technical to tell the person what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Robert Garcia that we have right now, perfect. We love it. Canelo's trainer, perfect. He's been able to train multiple world champions. We're looking at these people because coaching ain't just about telling the person you got to dig deep. You're going to dig yourself into a grave because you're just digging with no substance of direction. Tell the fighter what to do specifically. What do you see that is a hole that they can go and capitalize on? What mistake are they making that they got to stop lest they get stopped by the opposition? Where is that type of leadership from the man in the corner? And right now, I do not see that in T.O.'s dad. If I did, we'd have a whole different conversation. There's some growing sentiments that have been looking at the ability and career of T.O. T.O.'s career has been in part done because of his skill and technique and his IQ as a boxer, which is incredible. But it's carried him thus far, and now it was good enough to beat Lomachenko. Perfect. What was T.O.'s dad saying to help him beat Lomachenko? If you go back and look at that corner work, I would love to hear what he said. Because if it sounds like what he said in this fight with Shakur, I'm telling you this right now, it's been all T.O. that's been doing the work. If it wasn't the same. And again, I encourage you, go back and look at the fights and listen to the training of T.O.'s dad in the corner. For the Lomachenko fight, for the fight against Barboza, and for the fight against Shakur. And if it all sounds the same, that he's just telling T.O., you got to get to him, you got to hit him, you got to knock him out and get him out of here, that gives me the fullest sign it's been T.O. the entire time. It's been T.O. the entire time, being as great as he is. Because if that's all his dad was saying, that ain't helping much from the outside looking in. And right now, he needs a different guy. Because I'm telling you, he can lose the Rolly. If that just, you got to hit him mentality doesn't work, he can lose the Rolly. And it could be in part because his corner just does not have the answers to make something happen. It could very well be because of that. Let me see. Let me keep on reading what you all got to say. No one beating Fundora at 154. He's too tall. I don't think so. I think somebody can beat him. I think somebody can beat him. And it's gonna sound crazy. It's going to sound weird. Somebody can beat him. And it's because you can beat him at his own game. You cannot beat him from the outside. You can't do it. At this point in time, you can't win being on the outside. You have to you want a shot at beating Fundora, you have to fight Sebastian Fundora exactly where you don't want to be. And that is inside of close range. Because he gives you windows to land on his head with hooks if you go and invite the inside war. Oh, you're going to get beat up, absolutely. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. And you're going to get hurt bad, I tell you. I promise you that. There is no getting around that fact. You will get hurt. And it will be incredibly disheartening. But what we can get around is you can get the same window that we saw Brian Mendoza get when he knocked out Sebastian Fundora. The same window that we saw Erickson Lubin get or got when he went and nearly knocked out Fundora in their fight at 154. And that is the left hook. It is still there to have happen. Even Keith Thurman found that answer, that overhand. That left overhand was there to get caught. Sebastian was just more attentive now, but it was still there. Now, granted, the fight should have gotten stopped. You weren't just getting going. You were getting pieced up to Kingdom Come. You can keep telling yourself that lie if you want to. I'm telling you right now, you were going to get knocked out. And you better be glad that fight got stopped. Or else it would have been a forced retirement. I'm just telling you, the plan was still there and it was valid. That's the Boots, Ortiz might be the only people that can get it done. But they can get it done. It's possible. Because the window of getting to the head of Fundora still is there. Because he still will give up his size. He'll still give up that size if you can get around the length. Because previously, the length still wasn't the biggest factor in Fundora. It was the uppercuts. It was being able to land with these short shots. These short shots coming up on the inside when you were going close the distance. That's where he still wants to be at. He just now has gotten comfortable with using all 83 inches of that left hand. Or excuse me, he's a southpaw, if I remember correctly. All 83 inches of that right hand. The answer isn't the fact that you can't get around the size. It is how hard is it to get around that size before you go into the real thick of the action. It's just the first layer, the first wave of a boss, as we call it. If we're going, again, I love video games. It's the first phase of a boss. You got to get around the jab. Now, after you get around the jab, well, okay, now the real fight happens. Now it's limbs, elbows, hooks, uppercuts, overhands. You're getting leaned on. You can't even see where you're throwing because you just see nothing but a skyscraper of a chin. Your depth perception gets thrown off. Your leverage gets taken away. Sometimes you can't see where you're throwing. You just got to throw and hope it lands. You got to be able to dictate space and dictate ring generalship. What is ring generalship? What is that vaunted word that we said that Floyd Mayweather and others have had at their disposal? Ring generalship is when you're able to have spatial awareness inside the ring. I know what to do. I know how to do it. And I know where I am to do the certain things. I am able to be aware of where I am in the fight, where I am in the ring, and what my position is at any given point in time. To never get caught lacking of what and where I need to do and move to next. I'm a general. I see the whole floor. I see the entire board of war that is the squared circle. And because of that, I know how to apply the tactics because I can see everything even though I'm in the thick of the action. While you still got a finite view. It's like that old school, it's like the vision cone. For those who used to play Madden, it's like the vision cone. Madden 08, 07, 06, I think that's when they added it. But the vision cone was when you had to move your right analog stick left and right, to have your QB see who he was throwing to get an accurate throw. If he didn't do that, the throw could be inaccurate. The better your ability to have vision was, the wider your vision cone was supposed to be. Peyton Manning's cone took up the entire field. You never had to touch the stick. While in the other end of the spectrum, Jake Delhomme, at that point in time, Michael Vick, Steve Young, though their cones should have been wider, they were smaller. And you had to go I think Donovan McNabb was still on that team as well. His was pretty decently wide from the standpoint of being able to see the field. But you had to turn the heads of the QBs to see where they were going to throw, because they didn't have as good of vision to see the rest of the field. And they couldn't control the game in the same way without having to really be meticulous, nitpicking certain aspects of the game to make sure you did the right stuff. But a ring general doesn't have to do that. It's secondary nature. You got to have good ring generalship and spatial awareness to be able to beat Fundora. But if you do, which Ortiz and Boots do have, you can beat him. You can beat him. You absolutely can. Let me see. I agree, Love King is because of the size of Fundora. Understandable. His last two fights, that jab looks too sharp. At 6'6", I'll take him over everybody at 154. And to be fair, that is fair. To be fair, that's fair. I'm not going to say it's a bad pick to have that take place. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's somebody 6'6". But the thing about boxing that you have to understand, a great boxer isn't just because they're great when one weapon looks sharp. Great boxer is great because when one weapon fails, another one's able to shine. The layers of a boxer are like the layers of an onion. It's not just about you being able to have the first wave of leaves or whatever the word, skin, coming off the onion. Good onions got multiple layers that are all fresh. We just saw Fundora add the second layer, which is a good jab. It can still get sharper, but a good jab at 83 inches from having an average jab at the same height, or not even wanting to use his jab in the same way, is a vast improvement. And that's what Fundora's turned into. It ain't a lot of layers that he's added, but that one layer is a big time layer. Huge layer to have. And that one layer is a layer that if done right, it works wonders. It works wonders. And that's what we need to understand about Fundora. His layers as a boxer are not uber extravagant. But at his height, adding just one layer makes him such a different landscape of boxing. Something insane. And it's to the point that people are saying, but like you say, Boots may not be able to beat him. Ortiz may not be able to beat him. I think they can, but those are the only two in this division, and it's one of the deepest divisions of boxing. It shows you what that one skill has done to his ability as a fighter. Ridiculous, preposterous, insane, in the best way possible. People saying he might need to move to 168 with Shiraz, and he would still be the tallest fighter at 168, by far. And that's with Janibek. That's with Shiraz in that same division. So I'm with you. The man looks unstoppable, but he is still beatable because of who we're saying can beat him. But if it ain't them, yeah, you doggone right, it's probably gonna be nobody else can stop that, brother. It's probably going to be nobody else can stop him. Almost surely. Nobody else can touch him at this point in time until we see evidence otherwise. Because he's turning into a monster. An absolute monster in the world of boxing at 154. And it's going to be, the more we watch, the more we're going to see. If he keeps on improving, good gosh, Who knows what can be the heights of his career as he continues to thrive and shine. But we still want to hear your thoughts and opinions on the world of boxing and beyond. We still want to hear what you have to say in the world of boxing as we know it. And I still want to hear your thoughts on the matter when it comes to other stuff involving whether it's Devin Haney, whether it's Teofimo Lopez, whether it is Ryan Garcia versus Conor Ben, Usyk at heavyweight, other things involving the world of the sports world or boxing as a whole. We still want to hear your thoughts, chats, questions, and opinions on everything involved because it's still the championship rounds. And be clear, we want to hear from you in all regards of the sports world, whether it's boxing or beyond. We want to have your thoughts and opinions added to the conversation of our show. If you want to have your voice be seen and heard. And please, shameless plug, because I got to do it. If you want to support this channel and keep on edifying this show and adding not just your voice to the conversation, but giving alms to the empire, we have Cash App and PayPal. Links down below in the description. Super chat, super gifts, stickers, and all that stuff for you to be able to witness and enjoy and have your voice be added to our conversation and have your stuff be a part of our community. We will love it and appreciate it, and it will help us out oh so much to pay the bills and to help go make the show better. So if you can, we would appreciate it oh so much. But simply keep on liking, keep on sharing, and keep on subscribing to our channel on our show. Enjoying our community. No question about it. But while we still got time, because we are getting on the tail end of this show, because we had roughly 2 hours and 30 minutes, we're going to have an opportunity to have a couple more topics, and then we got to go and wrap it up. I would like to discuss Canelo, if we can. Because with the idea that 168 is around a new, or is getting a new leaf, with the idea that 168, super middleweight, is getting a new lease on life with all these new cast of characters and players, including Janabek going up to 168, it's another conversation that we need to understand. Canelo's got another guy he's got to try to overcome. There's another dangerous scene in this division that has the public eye looking at him as, hey man, your throne as a boxer is starting to get mighty close to being potentially overtaken by somebody else. Because Janabek and Shiraz ordered by the WBO to be a mandatory title defense. That's right, Janabek is getting a world title shot. And regardless of who wins this fight between Janabek and Shiraz, we're going to see one of them get in the ring with Canelo if Canelo can beat Christian and Billy. So there are now 5 people that got a decent chance at beating this brother to go for undisputed. Shiraz, Janabek, Christian and Billy, Lester Martinez, and honestly, the 5th dude would be Canelo. He could beat himself. If you want an adjacent guy, instead of trying to be introspective, okay, cool. Carlos Adames, the 5th brother that maybe could come through and wreck shop over this whole stuff. Oles Iglesias, I know people like to bring him up. Yeah, he's in that conversation too. Sure, absolutely, he's in that conversation. Actually, I'll put him ahead of Adames at this point in time. Understandable. But those are, at best, 6 names that can go and beat the likes of Canelo. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? I don't think so. I don't think so. And those are now all guaranteed that he's going to have to fight him. Guaranteed. He's going to have to fight him. I'm getting concerned because the makeup of this division has Canelo looking more, more vulnerable than ever. It's having him look more vulnerable than ever. Look more fundamentally different. Not just because of his own skill set, but because we're looking at a Canelo that now is not nearly as invincible. These other people in this division, they are not Terrence Crawford. Be clear. But what they bring to the table are things that can exploit the deficiencies of Canelo at this point in time. Shiraz, Janabek, 6 feet plus, Similar situation that we had with Bebo. Size, length, decent punching speed, especially with Janibek, and more importantly, power that Canelo would have to be potentially at least respectful of in a way that he wasn't having, that he didn't need to be respectful of in other fights in the past. When it comes to Christian and Billy, endless level stamina and aggression in a way that Canelo does not like. Sure, he loves a fight. He loves a good scrap, but I'm not saying his gas tank just likes to have somebody continually peppering and peppering and peppering shots on him every single time out. He ain't with that. He wants to dictate the pace of aggression, not the other way around. He can exploit that comfortability, coupled with the strength. We're dealing with different people that have different avenues to have the same level of success. Because what they are mirrors the worst things that Canelo is able to do, which is close the gap and cut off the ring better than he used to. Can't do that no more. One punch being the best way to go and land to the body. That's now looking more vulnerable because, we got a blueprint of how to stop that because of Terrence Crawford. Working against Canelo on the ropes with length. Now it's something that, okay, we know we can do that against him. And frustrating him with movement makes him more complacent because his body is a different body. He doesn't like wasting time in that regard. So we now have ways to win that previously weren't in our cards in the past. We're dealing with a different era right now. Height. Biggest thing with Benavidez, the height of Benavidez was the biggest thing as to why people said, he didn't want to fight him. He's too big. Well, now you got people that are the same size as Benavidez coming into this division. Are you not going to fight them either? Should they be light heavyweights? Should they be cruiserweights? Are you going to say that they're too big? Are you going to say that Janibek's too tall? Are you going to say that Shiraz is not worth the time? It's not big enough? It's not accolade-laden enough? Are you going to say that he should be a middleweight? He's the same size as David Benavidez. And everybody was saying David Benavidez should have been a heavyweight, a cruiserweight. Let's not forget those conversations. Shiraz has an inch longer reach and is an inch taller than David Benavidez. Where's the conversation that Shiraz is too big for this division? Where is it? Where is it? Where's the conversation that Shiraz does not belong at middleweight? Where's the conversation that Shiraz is a weight bully? Where's the conversation that Shiraz is taking advantage of his frame in this division that he should not be at? Where is the conversation that we were having with other fighters compared to Benavidez versus Shiraz compared to other fighters? Where's the same level of consistency? Sounds like hypocrisy to me. Sounds like hypocrisy to me. Sounds like a narrative driven to bring down a fighter who was indeed doing what he was supposed to do. It sounds like there's a double standard here of what Canelo was able to fight against previously versus what he's able to fight against now. Because this division now is bigger than it was when Canelo first got there. There's more 6-foot giants than there used to be. There's more height in the division now than ever. There's multiple people that are closer to Benavidez's height, and yet it's not a problem now. There's no noise now. But it was noise when Benavidez was in this same situation. Higher ranked, more talented, more potent, and more dangerous than Shiraz or Janibek. Where's the noise? Where's the excuses? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me. Not at all. I don't get it. People don't get it. Canelo fans seem to get it because they were the ones that were propagating all of this stuff. And if we see Canelo fight Shiraz without hesitation, if he beats Christian and Billy, you all in the boxing world should be having stakes, pitchforks, and bonfires outside the arena, calling for Benavidez to fight Canelo. Excuse me, calling for Canelo to fight Benavidez. Because if there's no excuses to fight Shiraz, there should not be a shred of excuse to fight the likes of David Benavidez. Not one. Not one. And we're going to see how this pans out. But I can't wait to see how this pans out. Don't let Canelo get to a point where he's got to beat Shiraz to become undisputed. And he says, I don't really need undisputed. I don't really need the belts. I don't really need the titles. I don't really need all this other stuff. He's not worth my time. We'll see if he says that. But if he doesn't, mark my words, y'all better be able to hold a fighter's feet to the fire and call their bluff. Because it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. That's what it is. If we see that take place. If. Again, it's an if. It might not be as big of an if as you may think. Let me see. We got more people in the chat. Like we're teachings. What's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for showing up on the show. LeBron versus Jordan. Who moved the ticket sales based off of the announcement of them coming to a market? I hear net nosebleed seats are going for $5,000 on the announced move of Jordan or of LeBron. So, yeah, I think it's over 1,000 plus for the tickets for Jordan, for LeBron going to Philly. I mean, if you want to say who moved ticket sales, I mean, it's kind of, that's a financial argument that needs context because of where they were at. The NBA was failing at a point in time when Jordan was coming in. Jordan moved the needle and shifted the entire NBA back to relevancy. More importantly, elevated it up to be able to be not just the face of the league, but a worldwide brand. He helped move that needle. LeBron, with that established market in a new world of player empowerment, more financial freedom, and more money to throw around, he's been able to make and break the market, the economy of Cleveland, make and change the economy of Miami, which was already a big market, but he shifted that up, make and change the economy of LA. Mind you, they were getting money left, right, and center, and now they just got sold twice in less than a year. The second he left. Bob Iger, somebody sold, so Jeannie Buss sold it to, what's his name? Then that brother sold it to Bob Iger. Bob Iger might be selling it for somebody else. And they just lost out after 8 years of being straight up on the main opening night, Christmas Day, every major holiday they're playing. Nowhere close to the same level of games that they were having televised publicly. And the entire ticket sales for them dropped. And for Cleveland, that market fell to the bottom. Whole city went just about broke when LeBron left there. I mean, that economic hit shifted everything. The single biggest mover of a market shifter. Evidentially, city to city to city. LeBron's been a little boom and bust when he's there and then when he leaves. Jordan stayed in Chicago. And when he went to the Wizards, I mean, it was the Wizards. Of course, there are things elevated, but I don't think it elevated to this degree. Tickets were on sale for, the Sixers, $100, something like that. I think they get in price for nosebleeds, not even for a playoff game, for like the Hornets. It's like $9.89, or potentially $1,000 plus. Don't let him have a record that he's getting ready to break. Next thing you know, boom, it's $2,000. The 5,000 one may be a little bit different. That may be for like a specialty game, opening night maybe, Christmas Day maybe. But financially, Jordan's built a market all on his own. Shoes, the name, the brand, Air Jordan, all that stuff. LeBron built an empire, shoes, market moves, investments, and stuff like that. LeBron became a billionaire while playing. Jordan became a billionaire after playing. Both of them, in respects, were incredible with their financial backing and ability. to flourish. But an immediate impact, it's hard to compare the two because the state of the NBA and the state of money with the league was different, and what they affected was different. The spread of the social hierarchy of who moves the needle was a lot more spread out during LeBron's tenure on top, whether it's Miami, Cleveland, or LA. Because, yeah, Jordan had Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, Magic, and old Julius Erving, but that was the names of the time. And then Clyde Drexler, Dominique Wilkins, but it was clear head and shoulders, he's the guy. LeBron, you had Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, who just retired. You had coming into the league, Luka and Anthony Edwards moving the needle. Victor Wembanyama looking like one of the most lucrative stars that the NBA is going to have in potentially its history. Dirk Nowitzki still selling. Tim Duncan being a big fundamental, still being a fixture in NBA minds. Boston with Kevin Garnett was moving the needle monetarily. Yeah, LeBron was to the face of the league. No question about it. But the money that was moved around, you had a lot more prevalent people that were staking their own careers to where, they were moving the market immensely in their own right as well. Also because they could take their fan base with them rather than just only being where they were. So player movement, player empowerment, player financial freedom to make their moves impact the league as a whole affected the league monetarily and affected cities differently than what we saw when Jordan was playing, when it was you get drafted, you stay drafted, and most likely you can't leave unless you put out your whole contract. And then if you don't re-sign, some people view that as, you're a traitor to your team. And it's better that you just stay with where you're at. Remember, people vilified LeBron for leaving, even though it made him financially one of the biggest entities the NBA's ever seen. They said that's not good. But if he didn't do that, he wouldn't be this type of career and financial impact would not even be possible. For the majority of the people, it wouldn't be possible. So it's a tit for tat situation that context drives the conversation. So I can't, again, there's other people on the NBA like Rusty Buckets, like I think Dom, 2K, Legend of Winning. They have a great way of breaking down the financial standings and effects between eras. Better than me, even better than me. And I respect it. I'm just letting you know. It's different. But the impact is comparable. To a degree, it might be the same. It's just done in a different way. At least to me. When I'm looking at it from the outside looking in. Let me see. Jay Gruden. Wait a minute. Jay Gruden, what's going on? My man, how you doing? Good to see you. I was thinking of the football coach. I'm about to say, good gosh, we really reaching everybody. But we appreciate you on the show. Thank you for tuning in. And we love the energy. We love the interaction. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions on the NBA, NFL, and all that stuff in regards to the world of boxing and beyond. We want to hear from you on all your opinions and debates and questions. That ship itself for Canelo, he's going to keep ducking David. And most likely, yes. And it's a shame. He's most likely going to keep on ducking David Benavidez. Canelo will keep on ducking David Benavidez, whether we like it or not, unless he finally feels, okay, it's time to cash out. I've said this before and I will say it again. Canelo's plateau at where his hierarchy as the greatest Mexican boxer to ever live, if he wants to reach that threshold, will never be achieved unless he fights David Benavidez. It will never happen. Because that is a non-negotiable fight. That if that doesn't take place, Canelo has no shot at moving up the ladder in competition of the Salvador Sanchez's, of the Julio Cesar Chavez's of the world that stand alone as reigning as the kings of Mexican boxing. The faces that run the places. You could say that monetarily, he may be the biggest financial star that they've ever seen, and he's one of the biggest names that we've seen reach. But as the king, true king of that world of Mexican love, support, adulation, and respect in regards to his position in the boxing legacy pantheon, he will never get over them unless he beats David Benavidez. For the people that feel like he hasn't reached that model of excellence yet, it's going to take David to have that as to open the door. That's the fight to open the door for many people, to get him into that conversation. If it ain't that, it ain't probably going to be nothing else, especially since he lost his fight to Terrence Crawford. Especially since that. Bivol was understandable for some people because, again, 175. But at 168, at the division that you're supposed to be best at, Crawford came up and whooped you. Not beat you, whooped you. Wasn't even close. It's going to be you need Benavidez to change or rather unlock that ceiling to go to the next level on the floor. Excuse me. Unlock the ceiling to go to the next level in the building of legacy of your career in the Mexican population, standing alone as the king of the mountain. It's going to take that. If you don't do that, you ain't going to have that. But he may be content. So he may already think he's the best ever. So he doesn't need to take on Benavidez. Whatever reasons, he's going to come up with them. And he'll never fight him. To our dismay, he'll never fight him. I wish it wasn't the case, but it just might be true. It just might be true. He'll never fight David Benavidez. And it's such a shame. Also, real quick, we're still talking about more stuff involving the world of boxing and beyond. We did want to cover, because I just forgot, I mentioned Russell Westbrook earlier. We got some time to talk about it. Russell Westbrook retired. Hey, man. Give me, yeah, we got some pop. Because give me a second. I know we normally talk boxing, but like I said, we are a sports show, and we talk about the biggest things that are happening around the sports world. And one of the biggest things is Russell Westbrook hanging up his cleats and being done with the sport of basketball, and he's officially gone from the NBA. And if I may get on a little bit of a tangent, I am so sad, but at the same time, I told you all when we covered basketball content more, deliberately on this show, this was going to be the potential outcome of Russell Westbrook. This was going to be the potential outcome. This brother could have played his last game last season, and it turned out to be true. Why? Because he didn't change how he played. In light of that, that still doesn't change that Russell Westbrook is, without a doubt, one of the greatest point guards we've ever seen. Do not let the hate from the recent years of his career fool you in what this brother was as a player. This man is one of the 5 greatest point guards we potentially have ever seen. This man, on top of breaking Oscar Robertson's record of, not breaking, but having a triple-double for the first time since Oscar Robertson, averaging 30, 10, and 10 in 2017, leading his team, not just to an MVP for his own accolades, but leading his team to get to the playoffs by himself. After Kevin Durant left, he then went and averaged a triple-double 4 straight years, including on the Wizards, and one of the most complete basketball player runs of an all-around dominance perspective that we had seen. I'm so serious. It was one of the most ludicrous consistencies in a player we had ever witnessed from a point guard of all things. To have that type of consistent overarching dominance while never lacking in the drive for the game. Yes, his latter years were absolutely horrible. I will be completely honest. Sure, he averaged 27, 7, and 5 against with the Lakers and with, I think, the Nuggets. Don't let that fool you. The decision making, the thought process, the ability or lack thereof to shift his playing style to be able to fit his current physical ability, it messed him up. It's why outside of the Kings, who wanted to sign him, nobody else really wanted to sign him. But he had, when he was on top, he was the second best point guard in the world, only under Steph Curry. Only under Steph Curry. Second best only under Steph Curry. He was definitively, is going to go down in history as the most explosive and athletic point guard we've ever seen. Yeah, Derrick Rose would have had that title, but injury sapped the longevity that would have been able to crown him in that moment. Westbrook went this long for this much time. 18 seasons. 9-time All-NBA. Currently all-time leading triple-double, all-time leading triple-double holder in NBA history at the time at which he retired. With a motor and a first step that has been violent, the likes of which you've never seen before. One of the greatest dunking guards you've ever seen, without question. And he sacrificed a lot of things for this game, and he never complained when it came to giving his all. Never. Never a moment in time I couldn't look at this brother and I was not going to not just get a show, but passion, aggression, violence, as well as a complete giving to the game that we've seen from people like KG. He was like that. There's a lot of people that shed a tear when this man retired. Understandable. And we hate the way that it ended because he should have had one more season. A retirement tour should have been what this brother should have had. At least to acknowledge, hey, city to city, we love what you've done. Either way, you walked away on your own. And we appreciate what you've done for us. And brother, you're one of the 75 greatest people ever, without question, without a doubt. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And we laud your career and what it turned into. Memories never to be forgotten. The face and pride of OKC, without a doubt. The heart of the city, the heart of the league at one point. I mean, he was incredible. He was incredible. We're so glad we got to witness it as his career went and unfolded. In your opinion, who is a better point guard, Russell Westbrook or Steve Nash? So Steve Nash, as a pure PG and passer, yeah, he's better. As a point guard, Steve Nash was better. Average 11 to 14, average like 11 to 13 assists on multiple different seasons. Won MVP twice a year or 2 times. Won over Shaquille O'Neal with that 7-second offense that was able to be the precursor to part of the modern day, not just small ball, but quick pace style in the world of basketball that we see now. The Mike D'Antoni, before Mike D'Antoni really came into his own, as to what we saw with Houston Rockets. Crazy enough, the same team that Russell Westbrook was on. It was insane. Whether he was in Dallas, whether he was in Phoenix with Amari Stoudemire, Shawn Marion, whether he was, if he had been healthy, on the Lakers, could have been an immense help. But as a point guard purely, Steve Nash was a better facilitator. Way better shooter. Absolutely. But as a player, Russell Westbrook was better. Westbrook was better. I think even Steve Nash would tell you that. Westbrook was a better player. Westbrook touched more aspects of the game in a more demonstrative way, and I say that in a good way, than Steve Nash. And Steve Nash was just about a 50-40-90 level shooter, 50% from the field, 40% from three, and 90% from the free throw line nearly his entire career. One of the most efficient level players we've ever witnessed the game of basketball ever have. One of the greatest pure passers. You can argue he's a top 3 level passer that the NBA's ever seen, from his creativity, from his vision as a whole. It goaded that Suns team to turn into a monstrous entity, without question. And even defensively with the steals, he was great. But what Russell Westbrook lacked in efficiency, he made up for it with the ability to affect the game single-handedly by going and just straight up taking over. We saw Westbrook. I'm sorry, and I love Steve Nash. We saw Chris Paul take a OKC squad to the playoffs when at a time that they were supposed to be rebuilding and turning into something new. Absolutely. Understandable. But there was no bigger hopeless situation for OKC than when Kevin Durant left to go join Golden State. And Westbrook, with just him and him alone, and his headband, looking like Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, went and drug what was supposed to be a lottery team to the playoffs, a 6th seed, I believe, with one of the most collective, dominant seasons by one player. That Steve Nash, I love him. He would not be able to do that. Not at all. Not at all. He had Amari Stoudemire, absolutely. One more time, I think he had Shaquille O'Neal at one point. An old Shaq, but Shaq nonetheless. Sean Marion was a great perimeter and slashing threat that actually had a decent three-pointer. He had a team built around him that fit his passing perception perfectly. He still made it work, but he had the pieces that he was like, this squad's got it. Westbrook lost that, and then KD was what we thought made that team work. Serge Ibaka, Steven Adams, Thabo Sefolosha as some of the biggest names they had on their team, and yet he still, by himself, was having strings of games 50, 10, and 10, 48, 12, and 13, 40, 12, and 12, 56, 13, and 10. There was a point in time when this cat looked like he scoring a 50-point game was just a breeze. This buddy put up 20, 20, and 20. 20 assists, 20 rebounds, 20 points. Are you kidding me? Then, the last time we had somebody get something close to that? Jokic. And the last 2020 game I can remember was Dwight Howard in Charlotte, when he had, I think, 30 points and 20 rebounds. Westbrook had 20 assists on top of that. And a win. Against, I think, was it Philadelphia? Was it against Philadelphia? I can't remember exactly who it was against. I don't think it was against a bad team. But, again, I see all that to say, as a pure point guard, Steve Nash was better. I'm never going to deny that. As a player, Westbrook was better. As a complete player, Westbrook was better. Westbrook was closer to the best player in the world conversations when he was on top of the world than Steve Nash. With Steve Nash winning multiple MVPs. When Steph was clear cut above the head and shoulders, we were looking at Russ at that point in time as, brother, he is right there. That's how individually dominant he was. And the carry jobs that he was doing, we had only seen that from stuff like LeBron. Genuinely at that point in time. It was ridiculous. It was insane. And so, Steve Nash was the better point guard. Russell Westbrook was the better player by far. By far. Russell Westbrook will go down. As time progresses, yes, the efficiency ain't going to be the best thing. But as a player, he's going to go down as probably one of the most impactful guards this game has ever seen. Did he shoot himself in the foot sometimes? Absolutely. Was he never able to change his game when it was time to change his game? Yes. Did the last graceful years never happen for Russell Westbrook? Absolutely. But the unwavering ability to not compromise his love for the game, passion for the game, and when he was athletic enough to pull off the stuff that he was doing, he became one of the most unstoppable players in a league with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, a Dirk Nowitzki that was still putting belt to butt in the West. Paul George, he was still, Damian Lillard, he was still able to elevate to be one of the guys that's a difference maker among other difference makers. Yeah, that's something different. Yeah, he's incredible. He's incredible. He's going to be remembered. Let time heal the wounds of these last couple years with the Lakers and Sacramento and the Nuggets. People going to look at it and say, okay, yeah, no, he was like that. Yeah, he was like that. Let me see. When Steve Nash was playing, teams weren't scoring as many points. The game was played at a slower pace. It was. Steve Nash played in the dead ball era. But for those of you that don't know, the dead ball era, that was the wrong sound. A quick point to go and give you some history lessons. The dead ball era was in the early 2000s, roughly 2000, around when LeBron got drafted, a little bit before, 2001 to about 2008, could be considered somewhat the dead ball era in basketball, where games were played at a snail's pace, and you were having people like the Detroit Pistons in 03-04 holding teams to 70 points and winning 75-68, 72-74, 88-60, and that was considered high. Kobe averaging 35 in that era is one of the most impressive things I've ever witnessed because of the makeup of the league and how defense was played. It's one of the most stringent defensive eras in history, but also predicated to top scorers, 25 points per game. That's like you averaging 32 today. It was that hard to score. If you were averaging 19 points a game, buddy, that's a borderline all-star. That's why people like Tracy McGrady, Yao Ming, LeBron at that point in time, Carmelo Anthony, Kobe Bryant, of course, KG winning MVP, putting up 26. That's why it was so impressive, because that time and era, it was so difficult to score because of the style of play, pace of play, and the type of defense that was being played at that point in time. Three-point line was there, but it still was mid-range and in. Clogging the paint. Because Shaq was still in his prime, a lot of bigs won a lot of teams that couldn't do anything but defend. You were having a lot of struggle. You were. Kyle Korver was a phenomenal player. His best stretch at one point in time was a notable stat that he was shooting 5 of 7 from 3 against one specific team for the entirety of the 3 games that they played against each other. 5 for 7 for the series that he was playing against somebody, and Kyle Korver was being seen. This is one of the deadliest shooters in the world. He was, and still at that point in time, and became that still as he got better in Atlanta. But that was the standard of, that's an elite three-point shooter. He makes 2 a game. Oh my gosh, don't leave him open. It was a different world. Way different world. And to be that dominant at that point in time was ridiculous. But it was called dead ball era because the ball was dead. Because you being able to, Allen Iverson, being able to score at that high of a clip in the dead ball era, averaging 30, being a multi-time leading scorer in the NBA, there's a reason why it was so incredible. Because it didn't make sense. Because nobody could do anything really. Because it was so packed. It was tough. It was really tough. And Steve Nash being able to be that efficient, that effective, and being a pass-first type of guy. Steve Nash has shot more. He probably could have averaged 20. He probably could have averaged 20, 25 today with the way he was able to shoot at the clip that he was at that point in time in an era when this team was seen as that's a futuristic way to play ball. My gosh, imagine if Steve Nash played in today's world. Put that brother in its prime in 2016, 2015, when the league was starting to change. I would have loved to see what those numbers would have looked like from a scoring perspective. And passing-wise, oh my goodness, everybody's playing like the Spurs and implementing the same style like they had in San Antonio to some degree. Shoot. Who knows what it would have been? But it just shows, even without the scoring, how great he was as a player. Without a doubt. Let me see. They need you at ESPN. You know, you're smart. I appreciate the sentiment. Like I said, I'm just trying to be the best that I can be. And granted, understand, other people know more. I'm simply going and telling the story, what I've learned, what I've heard from people that know more, and telling you in a context to help teach. I learn, you learn. I try to study when I can. A lot is because I did, again, when we were first doing this, I did a lot of basketball content. Don't forget, we were trying to find our identity. We were talking about NFL, NBA, and basketball on every podcast episode, trying to get a full-blown hour 40 show. Before we were doing live streams, just doing this. So trust me, once this channel really blows up, I can start branching out in those topics a little bit more. That's why, look, come this NBA season, we're going to try to be a little bit more deliberate with covering basketball. We got a lot of basketball fans out here. NFL, of course, we got people that love it, and we talk about it absolutely. But basketball, we got a lot of people on this channel that watch basketball. A lot of them that watch basketball. And this is a great platform to interact and have discussions with boxing and the NBA. That now that we got a little bit more of a fervent fan base, a little bit more of a growth where we got enough to touch on both and not lose an audience. Because, hey, it used to be when I taught basketball, after that first hour, everybody's leaving.
And he floats like a hits like a tree.
They heard that, they loved it. But the second they heard me going to talk sports, up, they turn it off. Uh-oh, we're losing people. I'm sitting here panicking. I'm sitting here panicking because I'm like, oh shoot, I thought this is what y'all wanted to hear. So, but that's why we said with time we evolved the show. But now we're at a point in time we can start discussing stuff like that more often and have better topics, better debates with those facets of the sport. And I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be pretty good. Let me see. What's your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders? Well, Shedeur just lost the QB race for the preseason at minimum before their first preseason game, I believe. And it's a shame. Why? Because he played better yet again in the preseason or in practice. Per reports from training camp themselves, Shedeur was outplaying Deshaun Watson. And Shedeur should be the leading QB for this team. He is more accurate. He has shown a leadership mentality that the other players around him have taken to gravity. They, in some interviews, have alluded to that this brother should be the guy that's number one. Even though they got to be PR friendly, they ain't going to try to go and feed into the fodder that is the drama surrounding the Browns. But the point of emphasis is still, this cat should be the guy that is leading this team. Even the other players, wide receivers and O-line, they feel that same way. But Deshaun Watson is going to be starting as their QB for the preseason and potentially going to be starting as their QB for the actual season going into this year. But that shouldn't be the case. And you know what? Know why they're starting Deshaun Watson? And the whole reason why this drama around Shedeur, it's such a big thing, is for three reasons. Number one, didn't like the way that he did that his Deion Sanders was parading around, doing his own Bill Haney impersonation, hyping up Shedeur for what he did in college, getting to the league. People in ownership didn't like that. That's number one. That has been a fact. Number two, probably what's been bigger thus far, the media, to some degree, has shown a level of bias for some reason in against Shedeur, with them touting him as something that he's not when it comes to a selfish, entitled player. Further feeding into the inclinations of leadership amongst organizations, we shouldn't trust him, which again has been shown that's not true. But bigger than all of that at this point in time, they're paying Deshaun Watson more than anybody else on the team. So they're going to have to start him whether they want to or not, because they did the stupid thing of signing 3 quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, which what they pay him? They paid him upwards of $40 million? I think for this season, something along that line. drafted Gabriel from Oregon, and then drafted Shador from Colorado after it looked like you didn't need him. Why would you have a carousel race for your QB situation? And the biggest thing you needed to, if you wanted to fix something, you needed a wide receiver, because right now Jerry Jeudy as a wide receiver is proving Steve Smith Sr. right when he said that this bud is a bum. And he is a bum as a player. Because the buddy can't catch and save his life. That bud is proving Steve Smith right every day of the week. For the last 3 seasons, this bud has been playing like a bum with silk sheets for hands, because everything's just sliding by. Route running, can't get no separation. Deep balls, can't catch them. Dropping passes in practice. Dropping in routes that should be wide open. Makes no matter who's throwing in the ball. That's what y'all need to be concerned about. But no, y'all drafted 3 wide receivers. Oh, excuse me, you drafted 2 quarterbacks, and you paid Deshaun Watson upwards of, I think, $40 million. Let me make sure I got the correct price on his contract, because it is egregious in all fronts. 5 years, $230 million, with annual money of $46 million every year.
Hey, look at this! We got some problems here. We got some problems here.
How dumb can you be? This is after the grape allegations or the sexual assault allegations that took place that should have tanked his career, or at least made him very much not worth this type of money because of what the public was all saying about him. Rightfully so. But they paid him 5 years, 230. I think this is what, year 3, year 2? Now wait, what year is it right now? It is. No, I'm sorry. This is his first year. Nope, I'll take it back. 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. And this is the last year. This is the last year. Next year, he's an unrestricted free agent. But this year, he's getting paid $40 million. A lot of it with bonuses intact of what he can make. He got away with highway robbery. He was paid $35 million the year before. $27 million the year before that. And he still shines the door. What point? What purpose? What's the plan? There is no plan. It's dumb, stupid, in all regards, idiotic. But it's the Browns. Should we see anything different? Should this be anything? Is this anything new? Is this anything new? Dealing with Cleveland. But that's the makeup of that's the makeup of their problem. And they're dealing with a carousel of quarterbacks that just is not able to work, because there's a clear head and shoulders player who's been playing in preseason for the past 2 years, and in training camp for the past 2 years, and in the regular season, which is going to be the second year this year, is probably going to be better than Gabriel and Deshaun Watson. But they're paying him $46 million, so they have to start him. Because why would we let all that money that we're paying this cat go to waste? Why would we let all that money for what we are giving Deshaun Watson? Why would we let that go to waste? Why would we let that fall by the wayside and lose out on our investment? Even though we know he sucks. This ain't me saying it. The rest of the NFL is seeing this brother sucks. This cat is stealing money while playing like somebody that should be playing up in Canada. No matter who he's throwing to. And you're about to let this opportunity to falter for a third year? Have a bum season for another year? When you're trying to turn over a new leaf and get yourself back into contention in the conference and you want to start with a good foot, and you're going to let this cat most likely lead you into a dark ditch of despair where you may be lucky to win 6 games this season if he's leading the helm, because Deshaun Watson can't play. He is not good. But he's getting paid like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. That's why Shador isn't starting. I promise you, if it wasn't for Deshaun Watson being on this team, there would still be drama going on in Cleveland. But it would be completely different, because it'd be a whole lot easier to accept the fact, whether the Browns want to or not, Shador needs to start. For the sake of this team's success, to build a franchise QB that you can rely on without wasting money, you would need to have him on the team, starting with this squad, with legitimate reps, legitimate time, and at least 3 years of just straight, we know who our guy is. Because once you take that out of the equation, you can now worry about the other aspects of this team that you need to fix. Like hoping that signing Verse and giving up Myles Garrett ain't going to shoot you in the foot defensively. You just lost the best defensive player in football right now. Paired him up with the Rams, who potentially, if rumor is right, might just get the other best player in football in Aaron Donald coming back out of retirement. And if that happens, blow the league up. Blow it up. But I hope you ain't make a dumb decision with that. And you probably would have been able to afford keeping Garrett if you didn't pay Deshaun Watson $230 million. Again, shooting yourself in the foot. But I digress. Let me see. Last question for me. Who do you have winning the fight between? See. Do we really? Oh Lord. Okay, you know what? It is a championship rounds. I gotta answer. You ought to pay me some money answering something like this. This is preposterous. But this is ridiculous. But you asked it. We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it. Orlando Brown's gonna get killed. Ray J can't fight. Ray J got knocked out. Ray J had a hematoma and almost got put into a coma the last time he was in the ring. Ray J's out of shape, overweight. Ray J does not need to be fighting at all. Make music or do something. Make some new beats. Go make some new glasses. Do whatever. But Orlando Brown is worse. He's way worse. This fight is nothing but a circus in a negative way. But Orlando Brown is going to get beat to kingdom come. Unless he lands something lucky, he is going to get beat up. Orlando Brown's going to get tired within the first minute. Orlando Brown's not going to be able to really throw anything of substance. I guarantee you when he punches, he's going to be fighting like this. Like this. He going to do that. Same stuff that they always do when somebody's just learning how to fight. And just the fact that Ray J's comfortable, he's probably going to get beat up. He probably going to get beat up. Or just straight up, he can fight dirty. Let's be honest, this fight can turn into a whole barroom brawl where they just headlock. Throwing knees in the groin. Biting each other's head. Who knows what the world's going to be happening. I just know. I don't want to cover this fight. I'm not covering this fight. If you do need to watch it, watch the highlights. Because this is just going, I wouldn't be surprised if this fight went more than stinking 2 rounds. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. Don't be surprised if this thing ends in the next in what? Maybe a minute? Maybe 2? Somebody probably might get disqualified for all we know. It's going to be, man. If this thing goes 3 rounds, I'll be shocked. But I got Ray J. And they're fighting on the career. See, and this right here, this last part of the question. Clarissa Shields deserves better than this. Clarissa Shields deserves better than this. The greatest women's boxer of our generation, and potentially in talks with being the greatest of all time. Potentially. She deserves better than this. And the fact, here's the thing, because some people are going to spin this a certain way. Clarissa Shields getting on the card and having this fight as a undercard fight is a fight to bring people in because of the spectacle. The sideshow that people are going to want to pay attention to simply because of the craziness that ensues for both of them. That's going to bring people in the door. And that'll get people to want to potentially stay around for the main event. But with the progress that we saw, and I do not like Jake Paul at all, but with MVP Promotions, with Serrano, Katie Taylor, Baumgardner, Dubois, and Dubois' sister, all of this was turning into women's boxing is elevating immensely, and I love it. I don't want it to be that we're going and regressing with these types of fights. I don't want it to be that. I don't want it to be that. It might be that, but I don't want it to be that. But these types of situations that all of a sudden, from the quality fights we were getting from top to bottom cards, on even the all-women's card that sold out, that was perfect, to then go back to this, she deserves better, man. She deserves better. She deserves better. Yeah, Brandy's little brother and the dude from Major Pain, and that's so. Yeah, they fight. They're fighting. They are fighting against each other, and they. Like I said, I understand to get them in the door, but if this is what it's going to do, we have to put this into a perspective. Clarissa Shields is pound for pound the best women's fighter outright, only under Gabrielle Fundora. But before Gabrielle Fundora, it was not even a question. It was Clarissa Shields. And the men people still have Clarissa Shields as the best boxer in the world for women. Most accomplished, won at heavyweight, middleweight, knocking people out at heavyweight, at every weight class. Being the most accomplished, most successful, most lucrative, everything that you would need, she had and has right now. It's the equivalent of the same thing we saw with Terrence Crawford, but it was Terrence Crawford beating everybody and going to heavyweight and then dropping back down to middleweight to then beat Canelo or something like that. It's ridiculous. And it would be like him getting a fight, but the undercard is Orlando Brown versus Ray J. Do you think a fighter of that caliber deserves that type of card to get people invested? No. It's just me. It's just me. I get the reasoning. The spectacle gets people to want to see the sport, but my gosh, this should not be. That it shouldn't be that's the co-main event, let alone, if it is, before the fight with Clarissa. It's like, my gosh, man. They deserve better. They deserve better. But hey, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Whatever the situation, it's going to be fun. And most likely, Clarissa Shields probably going to get a KO and do another spectacular win and keep on her run of being eking up the ladder of being potentially the greatest we've ever seen for women's boxing. It's insane what we're witnessing. It's another legacy added to her belt, and we'll see how it unfolds. But with all that being said, we had almost 3 hours and 26 minutes. We're going to do a last call on our show to see what you all have to say on the day. And if anybody wants to give us support to the channel, you still can right now. But speak now or forever. Hold your peace at least up until the next time we're here on the show next Tuesday. Last call for the world of boxing and for the world of combat in the world of sports as we know it. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions, questions, comments, concerns, debates on the NBA, on the NFL, and everything in between. We want to hear from you and what you have to say, because we still value your opinion, value your voice, and want to have your thoughts added to our conversation. But if there's nothing else to say, and you've enjoyed the rest of this show, and everybody's ready to go and enjoy the weekend, we're going to wrap this show up, take it home, and get on out of here and have you all enjoy the rest of your day. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this show with a bang and get on out of here and let you all enjoy the rest of your day. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this show, being a part of our community, being a part of our empire, and hopefully you have a phenomenal time. Hopefully we gave you entertainment, fun, and support, and had you all having a great time here on this show. For those of you that stayed, we thank you to Quantum for the $5 super chat and the Home to the Empire, and everybody else who gave and supported through this channel. You all mean the world to us. We couldn't do this without you, and you're the reason why this show is growing and thriving and turning into a hot ticket for the rest of the world to come and witness and see. We thank everybody who participated and chatted and responded to our show. Thank you there. And you even got a ticker down at the bottom for the people that responded the most. We appreciate it oh so much. And we want to be sure, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to join this empire. Come join the hottest show in all the globe if you haven't already, and be a part of our community. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of what we do on this show. Be sure to leave a like on the video. One like makes a world of difference to grow this channel and reach the masses all across the globe. Also, if you would, hit the hype button on this channel. Helps us to even further grow our show even more. And please be sure to rate us 5 stars on every podcasting platform. Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And if we're not, tell us. We will get there. Absolutely no question about it. And please be sure, if you can, support this channel monetarily. We have Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, super chat, super gift stickers, and super thanks. All of that stuff you can give and support to this channel and help us grow in our show and make this community oh so strong. Helps me to pay the bills and helps us to go and edify this show to make it better for you to listen, witness, and enjoy, listen to and watch all across the globe. And helps me to buy some sweets. It helps me to buy, some personal things. Oh yeah, because I can go through and splurge on all the stuff I want. Taking your money and using it for my own. This haircut and all that stuff. Oh yeah. Oh, we're gonna be. We're just playing. We're just having fun. But we appreciate the love and support. We appreciate you joining into our show. And please be sure to share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. But I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been absolutely wonderful. Be safe, be blessed, peace, and love. We are out of here. Yes, sir. Salute to you. That was bad. Hold on. Yes, sir. Salute to you. We're going to see you all on Tuesday. Same time, same place, same channel. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your afternoon. And we can't wait to see you all next time out. And we are out of here.